Yo, people, welcome back to another stream of Two Up Front. I'm your host, Ace, and as always, I'm with my brother Major on this great day today. How are you doing, bro?
Hey man, I'm good, bro. I'm good, man.
Mm,
A lot of football to discuss, but
hey,
yeah,
man.
man, everything's good.
Nah, I hear it, bro. And
Everything's
yeah,
good.
I was thinking, like, I remember last Sunday, when you had your Sunday stream, unfortunately, or even last, so I guess it was before the international
The
break.
one before.
Obviously, yeah, Liverpool. So I was thinking, hey, I hope my first Sunday stream off the back of it isn't an L in the NLD, but luckily it wasn't for me, man. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to get to this episode, ready to talk
Mhm.
about the games, talk about, I think that was like the 6 games you kind of previewed, which were the Arsenal Spurs match, the United Southampton, Chelsea Bournemouth, Liverpool Forest, City Brentford, and the Fulham West Ham game, which is the ones that we went into a bit more detail in the preview. So we're gonna dissect those a bit more, give our takes on what we saw, and see if we've learned a bit more about all these teams. And then right at the end, because we haven't been able to do it yet, we're gonna tack on our Premier League predictions, and we purposefully made sure that we sent our tables to a third party. When an orthodox change gets there, you confirm that we decided before the end of the week, like weekend fixtures, just to, I guess, like we said, that would be like the kind of final decider if we happen to draw in our FPL competition and also obviously our score prediction competition at the end of the season to decide who's going to get the forfeit this year. So just wanting to set the scenes, remind the people. But yeah, bro, I guess there's only really one place that we can really start in this episode, man. And I think it has to be what was definitely the clearest, biggest game of the weekend, which was the NLD. I wanted to kind of get your thoughts. I think you dissect the game really well, and then I'll just kind of add, I guess, from the Arsenal fans' point of view, what I thought. But yeah, if you don't mind kicking us off in this one, bro, what was your kind of overall thoughts in this game?
I think when we were discussing this fixture, in the preview, I gave you my reasoning as to why I thought Arsenal were gonna win, and yeah, as I was watching the game, I was thinking, yep,
Mm,
I was right.
yeah,
I,
I didn't want to give you your credit, man. I was like, yeah, Major called
I
this
was
shit
right.
as peak. Yeah, you
I
called
was
it,
like, I
bro.
was right. I don't even want to toot my own horn, but I was looking at it and I was just
Mm.
like, yep, 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 yep. I was
Bro,
right.
even your confidence that we actually wouldn't concede, that's one of the big. I think that
Yeah,
was the
bro,
biggest shock in this game. Because yeah, I thought we
bro.
would definitely with that midfield that we set. Bro, you know what? I think to even kind of start off, I don't know if you had kind of any initial thoughts when you saw both teams' lineups,
hmm
like going into the match. Like, what were your kind of thoughts when you saw that?
Obviously, I think we discussed about some of the injuries and who was probably going to be available and who wasn't going to be available. So that wasn't a shock. Obviously, I think there was a decision to be made as regards to Arsenal's left-hand side and who Arteta was going to go with. And obviously, like your boy Martinelli, like, do you get me? He
We'll
got the
talk
go
about
ahead.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he got the go ahead. So yeah, like that was a big shout. But yeah, like I looked at the lineups and I thought, yeah, like it's making sense. Like
Mm.
I don't think there was anything that like really surprised me, like to be honest. So yeah, how about yourself?
You know what it is, yeah? My initial thought, which again with football, if it could work out either way, it's just my
hmm
initial raw thought when I saw the lineup. And I felt
hmm
like Ange could have taken more advantage of our lack of legs in that midfield. Because I was
hmm
surprised to see the midfield of Bentancur, Kulu, and Madison. Because I was like, you know what?
hmm
I told you going into the match, and the player that actually scared me from this first point of view was like a Sar. Just someone
Yeah,
that
yeah,
could
yeah.
get the ball and just run with it. And I felt like he
hmm
kind of went for the midfield that again, I think you kind of touched on it earlier where it's like, would Ange also respect us and say, we're going to first start off by being solid ourselves and then
hmm
that's a bit like know that we're going to have moved the ball against this Arsenal team and eventually win? Or will
hmm
he say, these guys look vulnerable right now and let's more go for it? And that's kind of what I felt he did with going with Kudu and Madison in that
hmm
midfield where it felt like maybe there was more that he could have taken advantage in that regard. I don't know what you kind of
hmm
think about that.
Yeah, I think in many ways he maybe believed that he was taking advantage with like that lineup. But yeah, as like I fully understand what you're saying as regards to Sa and yeah, the lack of legs in your midfield, and maybe that would have been the option to go with. But yeah, like I think obviously we spoke extensively about the injuries, Declan Rice being injured, Ødegaard being injured. And when I was looking at this fixture, I just had quite a lot of confidence that Arteta was going to get it right. And yeah, you did have midfield problems. You were going to have to adapt. And I think, yeah, you did that. And I even, bro, wanted to very quickly, I wanted to read out like some of Arteta's quotes because,
Okay, yeah, go on.
yeah, just very quickly because, yeah, like it's really funny because like I was literally again, I'm not even trying to toot my own horn, but I was hearing Arteta's quotes and I was just thinking, yeah, bro, I just got this spot on. But
Nah,
yeah,
you know, AJ, I was actually
yeah,
gonna give you your credit. I said, yeah, Major, yeah, when
bro,
you get it right like that, I have to say you got it right because I didn't
bro,
expect it, and you actually did
yeah.
it really well going into this
And
match.
so like, yeah, even quickly reading out, Arteta said, so hopefully we made people very happy. We had good moments and others where we had to suffer. We had to adapt because of the players that we had available. It's a tough week coming, and instead of finding any excuses, we did the opposite. We have people that are hard and have thick skin. They love the game and we love winning. In order to win, you have to do things that people call ugly. When you're able to do that normally, you get a good gift. And bro, when I was previewing this fixture, I continued to talk about Arsenal's foundations. You have a solid defense. That has been a key to your success last season and the season prior. And I think, yeah, sometimes when you're faced with adversity, you've got to lean on what is going well, what your strengths are. And I think Arteta did that. I think he looked at his lineup, he looked at his squad, he said, okay, you know what? We're not necessarily going to be able to play the way that we would ideally want to. And I think if you look at the possession stats, Spurs had more possession, way more of the ball. Arsenal really adapted. But again, Spurs got frustrated. They weren't able to break you down. I think you were very disciplined. And again, I've seen you go to Villa Park, get a result. I've seen you change your approach at the Etihad. I've seen you go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the last 2 seasons and get a win. And yeah, I carried on talking about the set piece threat. And the
Yeah,
reason why I carried on mentioning that is because, bro, it's very simple. Arsenal are really good at set pieces and Spurs are really bad at defending them.
bro.
And
You
in
know,
that preview,
on that, you
go
know,
on, bro.
well, on that set piece thing, because something that
Mhm,
I've seen be a really big talking point. I also wanted to
mhm,
get your thoughts on was
mhm.
the Vicario question. And like
Yeah,
what I wanted to ask you is how much of it do you think it is like Spurs just set up poorly when it comes from like a tactical point of view when it comes to defending set pieces, and how much do you
mhm,
think is a weakness in him as a goalkeeper in dealing with set pieces? Because I think you would have a lot of, I guess, experience with dealing with a keeper. And the example I'm going to give is De Gea
they're
when he
here.
first
Yeah,
came
when he
into the
first
league,
came,
when it was clearly a very good shot
he was
stopper, very
getting
good with his
bullied.
feet. But everyone kind of clocked on quite early that, oh, like this is a weakness in him when it comes to dealing with
Mhm,
set pieces. When teams knew we can pin this guy, he flaps at
mhm,
it. So I
mhm.
guess from your point of view as a United fan with that experience, what do you think? How much do you think is a Vicario issue, and how much do you think is just they're just not defending it well as a team? Right.
I think it's both. So
Mm.
I think they're definitely not defending well enough as a team when it comes to set pieces. And I think Vicario, he probably does need to get better in those situations. Like he does need to improve. I think he does need to be stronger. I think he needs to command the penalty area better. But yeah, I think like I can't just put all the blame on Vicario. I think Spurs as a team, they don't defend set pieces well. And like I said, I think Arsenal are very clever when it comes to set pieces. Obviously, you're a very big team now. Like Arteta has designed this team where you've got, multiple players who are always going to be threats in the opposition's penalty box. And as long as the delivery is right, then Arsenal stand a chance. And again, Spurs are very vulnerable when it comes to set pieces. And again, when I was looking at this game, I thought, you know what? Arsenal have a really good defense. They've got a solid foundation. Again, we've spoken a lot about the midfield injuries, but as long as you approach the game right, as long as you're not naive, as long as you're able to adapt, then you have the ability to frustrate Spurs. And then it's about moments. And again, we saw the moment. Saka, great delivery. Gabriel, header, goal, 1-0, get in, get out. And
Yeah.
that's what Arsenal have learned. Like they've learned over the seasons how to manage fixtures, how to go to a game and say, you know what, okay, we are undermanned, okay, we've got problems, but we've got multiple solutions. Our solutions aren't just our solutions don't lack variety. Like, so we've got multiple ways that we can win a football game. And I think that's what's really important. So yeah, that's why I just looked at this fixture and I thought, and in some ways, I'm even a little bit annoyed. I'm thinking, bruv, I should have let you speak first. I should have let you speak first and make your prediction, and then I should have spoken.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think I enlightened you.
Yeah,
I enlightened you. Yeah, I convinced you. Afterwards, I was thinking, why did I do that, man?
Bro,
I was talking too much. I said, I've convinced this guy. I was like, I've convinced this guy to the right prediction.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was thinking, I was like, I should have just let Ace be negative
bro.
and
this
talk
is
about Ødegaard and
man.
Declan Rice. Do you get me?
Man.
I should have just let him go off. I should have even been gaslighting you. I should have said,
that's what you should have done, bro. It's a game, minute. You let now.
I should have said there's problems. Said no Declan Rice, there's problems. But I thought, nah, you know what? Let me put my football hat on and let me say what I genuinely think. And yeah, in all seriousness, like, I wasn't surprised because I just looked at it and I just thought, yeah, I think there's been a lot of talk about all of these injuries. There's been a lot of talk about how Arsenal are going to cope with the next two fixtures. And when I was looking at this one in particular, again, you've got to lean on your foundations. Arsenal have set really good foundations. You've got a really solid defense that has happened over time. So now when you're going to Tottenham, when you're going to the Etihad, when you're going to Old Trafford, you've got a variety of ways to approach a football match. And when you are missing two of your best players, you can lean on things that other teams are not capable of doing. And yeah, I think we saw Arsenal take advantage of Spurs' weaknesses, but it's not just a Spurs weakness, it's an Arsenal strength.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it is. It's the combination of the both. Like, do you get me? Tottenham aren't the only team to concede set pieces to Arsenal. And even beyond the set pieces, we were talking about, you know, the balls in behind, and we saw Martinelli get in behind, and then, yeah, I think he kind of wasted that chance. I can't lie.
Yeah, no, he did. I said it, bro. He panicked, bro. He saw
Man
coming at him.
Yeah,
that train, and yeah, he panicked and hit first time. He made the wrong decision.
Yeah.
It was either he had to keep going and make sure you finish it, or you square it to Saka. Those were the two acceptable choices that he did neither. So no, it was. What did you? Again, I guess we can kind of get into a bit of, like, I guess the individual performances, because he might be a good one to start. Because I think I was quite critical, thinking, yeah, I don't think he had the greatest game. But from your point of view, do you agree? Who do you think were the standout players? I know you also touched on before the game wanting to see Solanke against the powerhouses, which are Saliba and Gabriel. And I would say I think he started off the game really well. But did he answer any of the questions you had going into it? And was there any other players that you want to kind of highlight in this one?
So with Solanke, I think he should have done better. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously he's still getting accustomed to this Spurs team, but I think, yeah, in games like this will be good for him, because I think you're gonna get that experience that is needed. Like, do you get me? And even though you are in the same league, you're at a bigger club, with all due respect to Bournemouth, and the expectations are different. So I think, yeah, moving forward, like, I think Spurs fans, they'll be expecting more from Solanke. But as regards to Arsenal, yeah, I thought Gabriel, yeah, and we've spoken about Gabriel, bro. Yeah. I think it was early in the season when we were doing I think
it was a City combined 11 that
we City, yeah. And I said, like, everyone said Saliba, and it's like, bro, you know what I think of Saliba? Like, do you get me? But I was just like, yeah, Gabriel as well. Like, bro, like, and you know what it is? I remember when, you know, people were highly critical of Gabriel because sometimes his decision making and his rashness, his rashness was, do you get me? It was costing Arsenal at times. But I think he's really matured as a player, and he's still not lost that aggressiveness. So he's still aggressive. He's still on the front foot, but his decision making is just better. He's more poised. And I think having Saliba next to him has greatly helped, because I think they complement each other. And a lot of the time, great defenses, they're built on centre-back partnerships. Again, I saw Ferdinand and Vidic, and Ferdinand and Vidic complemented each other brilliantly. I think Vidic was probably more similar to Gabriel, and Ferdinand was more similar to Saliba. And I think, yeah, like you guys have got a great thing there. And that's why I carried on speaking about the foundations, because when you've got a defense like that, and you've also got a Saka, and you've got a Trossard, and you've got quality in other areas, you're always going to stand a chance. And again, Spurs are vulnerable, Spurs are naive, and not to say that, you know, they couldn't cause you problems, because I think also from a Spurs perspective, that's the word.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Hey man,
from
what's going on?
a Spurs perspective, I got it.
Okay, yeah.
I would have been kind of disappointed with, like, again, just kind of the lack of cutting edge. Yeah, like I would have been disappointed in that. But yeah, I think going back to your question, yeah, like Gabriel.
Yeah, Warriors performance, man.
Really, really
it was
good.
A Warriors performance. Like, I think I remember even during that stream when we were doing the combined 11 thing, and I was saying it's that whole thing of when sometimes I think as football fans, man, we're too much on the who's the prettier, who's nice on the ball. We'll talk about that when we get to the Chelsea game, where sometimes it's not about being a street baller and being techie and looking nice. You want the guys that are off the ball, can clear up space, then they do the dirty job. They don't care about the flicks. They come and take the man out. It's the ball with the man. You're not getting past him. I think Gabriel is that type of player. Because this game, bro, is like you're saying. I think Spurs made some really good openings at times. Because even in that goal that Gabriel scored, in that same kind of like run of play was when the ball fell to Brennan Johnson. And it looked like it was a dangerous chance. He came here, Gabriel was there, blocked it. We then counter-attacked, eventually leads to the corner. And who's there again? Against Romero, does his job, dunks on it. So I feel like I was watching that game just saying, yeah, this is why when people, you don't want to like the Declan Rice type players, the Gabriels, they're not pretty. But I think those are the guys that win you matches, man. Like it's all nice.
100%.
Being the flicky and you look nice on the ball, but like those kind of players that do the dirty work, I think they're so important in every team. And so I think so much is said on like Arteta and I guess he being like a Pep clone, but this guy has so much of the Moyes gene in him as well. And I've always said that I always kind of like that as well, because I need my manager that you can't go to Spurs now. We're missing Ødegaard, we're missing Rice, and you're just like we're gonna play our way, bro. We're gonna play our way. We're gonna do what we do anyway. Like we'll lose. This is the game where we'll lose this game now. But we came and we respected them. We said, 100%. Yeah, we're weaker right now. You guys are stronger. We're gonna play you in a way that we know that doesn't work again, that doesn't work for you. And even when the smaller teams play Spurs, this is when they start struggling. Is when everyone realized that you guys want to play through the middle and we are going to just pop. That's like we're gonna clog up this middle of the pitch, go around the outside, and they don't want to do it. They don't want to go around the outside. Eventually, you keep hitting this wall, and that's what we do. That's what we set up for them. I was watching it, bro. I've never seen it. I love the way the 4-4-2 out of possession is so nasty. Arsenal have that thing on lock. Obviously, it's normally Ødegaard and Havertz. Today, Trossard played that role and Havertz, but just how compact the team is able to be, I think it's such a massive trait that doesn't get spoken enough about. Like in terms of just obviously, we have the great defense, we have individual players, but just how much like Arteta's coached this team to even the biggest games, like you said, we went to Etihad last year, that we can go to these games and we can lock it down. We can say you guys are not scoring today. Like
100%, bro. And literally, when we were previewing the game, I carried on saying Arteta's going to adapt and Arteta's going to approach this game sensibly. He's going to be sensible. I don't think that he's going to come into the game with an arrogance. He's going to be arrogant in the sense of, I know that we are capable of delivering different type of performances. He's not going to be arrogant in the sense of saying, you know what, I don't care who's missing. We're always going to approach the game in one certain way. And I think, when you looked at this Arsenal performance, you looked at a team that were resolute, that they were compact. Again, we spoke about the midfield absentees, but they made sure that, they adapted their game sufficiently. Not to say that everything was perfect, not to say that there was no times where, the spaces weren't quite right and there weren't openings. But I think overall, again, there was a lot of fear about there not being legs. And I carry on saying this as well. And I'm going to quickly link this point to United. But when you are talking about your midfield, when you're talking about a midfield, a lot of the time people talk about profiles and they say, oh, you know what, we need this profile, we need that profile. And that's completely true, because if you don't have a certain profile, then yeah, it is going to limit what you can do. But also beyond that, systematically, you have to get things right. It's not enough just to rely on certain profiles. And I think when you've got a system that works, then you're able to approach games like this and make the right decisions and make the right tweaks, rather than just solely relying on one player that can do whatever it is that's needed for your system to work. Like, and I think, again, when a team has been coached sufficiently, when they've been coached properly, then again, it's muscle memory. You're able to say, oh, you know what? We've done this in training 100 times. Do you get me? We've done attack versus defense. We know that we need to drop back here. We know that we need to push forward here. They've seen it. Even the players that aren't starting, they've been watching, they've been spoken to, they've been coached. So when it is their time, even if they don't have the same physical profile than, like, for example, like a Declan Rice, they're able to still have the necessary intelligence to make sure that, you know what, we're not going to be completely exploited. So that's why I always say is that, of course, you need a certain type of player. If a player doesn't have legs, then a player doesn't have legs. Of course, it's going to affect you 100%. But as a team, if you're coached well, then you can say, you know what, we don't have this player. Now we've got to change. Do you get me? And changing shouldn't be that difficult if you've been coached properly. And I think sometimes there's an over-reliance on a certain type of player who's, you know, extremely athletic. And of course, it's going to affect. If Declan Rice and Ødegaard are out for the whole season, Arsenal are going to suffer. Do you get me? So this isn't a thing where, oh, you know what, like, Arteta is such a genius that it doesn't matter what problem comes their way, they're always going to be able to find a solution. No, you need your players, you need certain profiles. But at the same time, if you have been coached correctly, then you'll be able to adapt. And what Arteta did in this match is that he adapted. And I think that was the key to winning. And that's what I thought he was going to do. I was very confident. I looked at it and I said, you know what? Arsenal have shown me that they're able to adapt. Arteta has shown me that, again, he's not a Pep clone. Arteta has shown me that he's got different sides to him. So I looked at it and I said, you know what? Arsenal's defense, solid. They're gritty. They're determined. Yes, you are missing players in midfield, but you're going to make the necessary changes. You're going to make things compact. You're going to frustrate Spurs. And I think Spurs are a team that can get easily frustrated. And that's why I was saying, if you frustrate them, you just need to, one moment, one corner, one ball behind the back. We've seen it this season already. Like, do you get me? So yeah, I think well played, Arteta. Like, yeah, to go away to your fiercest rivals and win 3 times in a row is an impressive feat. So bro, yeah, I think he deserves a lot of respect for that, because there was a time where you lot weren't sniffing a win over there. Like, not
bro,
sniffing.
Yeah, at most it was
whoever's home gets the W. That's what it was.
Simple.
Do you get me?
Simple,
and
quick maths,
when you look at Arteta, I want to say this. When you look at Arteta, he's now won at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He's now won at Tottenham. Because it's so funny sometimes here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because I just pick White Hart Lane, so I have to just even program. But yeah, Arteta's won at Tottenham 3 times in a row. He won at Old Trafford last season. I think Arsenal had beaten United in 2020, was it? I think before that, you hadn't beaten us at Old Trafford since 2006. You won there last season. At the Etihad, you got the point. I know a lot of fans weren't happy with it, but you know what? He adapted and he said, we're not going to get beat. Villa, you lost twice against them last season. You went to Villa Park this season. Yeah, Villa did miss some chances, but you got the win. Arteta's proven that he's able to go to these away grounds and he can get results. He can rely on his defense. He can be gritty. He can be compact. He can adapt his tactics and he can get the win. And that's a sign of a good coach. That's a sign of a good team. And that's a sign of progression. So if Arsenal are able to continue to do that, then things are going to look good for them, because again, they're up against a City team which are absolutely relentless, and you've got to be able to go to these away grounds and change things and make sure that you're able to do things that maybe you wouldn't normally do, but you know that you need to do in order to get the result that you want to get. So yeah, fair play to Arteta. Again, fair play to the Arsenal defense, fair play to Gabriel, fair play to the team, and fair play to me, man, because I said it. I said it.
I hear it. I hear it.
I said it, man.
No, I'll give it to you.
I said
I'll
it.
give it to you.
Hey,
I'll
man.
give it to you. The clip,
Hey.
the clips are there, man. You can go back and watch
Oh
the
yeah,
episode.
hey man, it's all documented. I said it. So yeah,
It's true. It's true. It's true. I
hey,
feel like
man.
to even one thing that you said.
Very quickly, bro. I remember even I said, "Oh man, next time I'm letting you go first." Because I remember even when we were speaking, and you're like, when you're like, "Oh, so who do you think are favorites?" And I was like, "Arsenal." And you were like, "What? I'm shocked.
Yeah.
This what? This is this."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Bro, Arsenal are favorites. Let me tell you why." And then after I finished speaking, I'm seeing you say, "I was gonna go for a draw. Now I'm gonna go for." I said, "Oh, I've messed up."
You did, bro.
I've messed up.
You did. And now I'm
said
tapped
I've
in.
spoken too well.
I'm tapped in now. Yeah, I'm tapped in now. I know when you're being genuine and when you're not trying to throw me off the set. So it's all good, bro. That's your own problem. So no, it's true. It's true. But the one thing I wanted to kind of add to what you were saying about I think what made this game for us, man. I think we spoke about going into the match as well, which when you like you said about frustrating Spurs. And I feel like what we did so well, man, we just made the game so bitty. Like we killed all tempo in the match. We said, man, we're gonna come and stink this out. I was like, you guys, you're gonna try and build up play. Do all of this.
You want Madison to get on the ball?
Oh no, between the lines.
between the lines.
Nah,
play? Nah, none of that.
Nah, bro.
None of that.
Partey the Junior, hold hands.
Yeah.
Hold hands.
Man said what?
Simple.
Man said we're sending out the soldiers.
Man
said we're gonna make this ugly.
Ugly.
And did you see Arteta after the game? I even liked it. Man said, yeah, he embraced it. He said, I like that. Man said, sometimes you need to win ugly. He said, yeah. He said, yeah. And you know what's funny as well? Because a lot gets spoken about as regards to Arsenal and how they play football. And obviously, you remember Wenger and, you know, the beautiful passes. And you remember that team of Fabregas and Nasri and Wilshere. And I remember you beating Barca in the Champions League. And it was just like, oh, Arsenal, brilliant football, wonderful football. But Arsenal traditionally have also always been a very gritty team when they were successful.
Yeah,
where do you think 1-0 to the Arsenal came from? It was built upon a solid back four and goalkeeper. Like Arsenal have always had that in them. And I think Wenger's teams initially had that in them, and then later on it got lost.
Yeah,
and you guys got bullied. You started getting bullied. Stoke, long for you. Rory Delap throw in is long. Everyone's panicking. Now, if you lot were going Stoke away on a cold Tuesday night, did you get me?
Hey,
what's the saying? Cold, rainy Wednesday night. Gabriel and Saliba say, let's go.
Bro,
let's go. I said, let's go.
Yeah.
I said, what, you want to get Messi?
Mano. Yeah, man.
So it's like, and I think the good thing about it is that he can do that, but then he will revert back to, you know, again, and that's what I was talking about when it comes to my team. Yeah, now if you're at the Emirates and you're facing a bottom half team or a team that you're supposed to dominate, you're gonna now see the combination play, you're gonna see the link up, you're gonna see the movement of the ball. And I think last season a lot of Arsenal fans were kind of skeptical of how Arsenal were playing, but I think for the bigger picture it was worth it. I think Arteta realized that he needed to tweak some things because he needed to make sure that you guys were a bit more gritty, you were a bit more resolute. And once he done that, then I think he started to incorporate, you know, the things which made you such an exciting team to begin with. And I think now he's kind of got a much better balance where it's like, you know what, we can do it this way, we can do it that way. And yeah, I think when you look at Spurs, that's what they're struggling with. Like, do you get me? When it comes to changing their styles, when it comes to dealing with weaknesses, again, we've spoken about the corners, we've spoken about the high line. And I think for Spurs to be really successful, they're going to need to make the necessary adjustments. And I think that's something Arsenal have done. And again, I think it was Arsenal's strengths versus Spurs' weaknesses. And I think Arsenal took full advantage and fair play.
Yeah, no, like I think you alluded to it earlier, but even just kind of quickly going through like the main stats, which is Spurs had 64% of the ball, Arsenal 36. The XG, Spurs had 0.74.
Yeah,
Arsenal 0.73.
Bro,
Spurs had 15 shots, so Arsenal 7. But then you know what? Arsenal had 2 big chances to Spurs' 0, which again could have been very good. Watching it could have been different if they had made the right decision in the key moment. But why I kind of bring that up is kind of like you were saying too, where you can play nice football, you can be good on the ball, you can be more exciting. But at the end of the day, in these kind of big matches, it was literally the corner that decided whether Arsenal were going to win this match or not. It was that ability to pull that out the bag that made a difference, and Spurs' inability to defend it that lost them the game at the end.
Bro, literally, again, when we were previewing this game, I literally said it. I literally said one corner goes in, bang. Like, because I just looked at it and I was just like, you know what? Arsenal have grown. Like, I think Arteta, and again, I don't like you guys, so I don't even like saying this. Do you get me? I'm giving Arsenal too much praise. I'm giving Arsenal too much praise. This feels wrong, man. This feels wrong because I like Spurs much better than you lot. So I don't even like all of this that's going on. Do you get me? That's the thing. Like, from a football integrity and from a football integrity standpoint, and it was nice to look at it and say, you know what? Like, you analyzed Arsenal's strengths, you analyzed the game, and you were right. But I wanted to be wrong. Like, I would have been mad. Spurs 4-0. I would have been mad at that. I would have been mad at that.
That's what you keep doing.
I would have been mad at that.
Speaking it into existence, my brother. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, nah. Yeah, I think again, like, all you've got to do is fair play, and you've got. All you can say is fair play. Yeah. Obviously, you've got an even bigger one. As regards to the rivalry, but as regards to the title race, you got
100. Yeah. And you know why this game was so important now? Because now it's now meant again. It's probably similar to last season, where if you offer me a point right now at Etihad, I'll take it, bro. I'll take it. Whereas if we had dropped points in this game, we can't even be saying that. We have to be going to beat them at the Etihad. So it's going to be
really interesting to hear the preview, because I want to like when we do that next week, it'll be here. It'll be interesting to see how you would want to approach this game, because and this time we can hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, no, that's all good, bro. That's all good, bro.
Can hear your thoughts first.
Listen,
before you're biting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's so good.
It's
so good. It's so good. So yeah, no. So this was a massive 3 points for us. I just want to say for all the Spurs fans too, that because I wasn't even gonna do this, but if you're gonna do this before the game, I'm gonna remind you lot, because these lot are going around. This is our chance to end Arsenal's title race early. We're gonna stop it now. This is now 2 seasons in a row where you could have ended it. And it's like you had the tools to kill Arsenal fans' hopes, and you didn't do it. So I just wanted to say that from the Arsenal point of view.
You know what's so funny?
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I know Spurs fans will still be thinking about that Son moment against City. And they'll be saying, I said, I know Spurs fans will still be thinking about that Son moment against City where he missed. And they'll say, hey, man, we still played our part.
Yeah, no, it's true. If that's how they want to get their W. On that though, bro. On that, you bring up a good point. I don't know if you've seen. I should have got it open. I don't know if you've seen Ange, because there's a little. I won't get to it too much because we'll move on. But there's a little going into the game, kind of like last year, where it's like, this game is not bigger than any other match, kind of.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
And then you see how he was kind of going into the City game last year, where it's like this guy really wants to win. And the Spurs fans were confused. Like, why do you want to win against City more than San? Why is your energy completely different there? I don't know what you think from the outside, because it's an interesting one. Because I think it's kind of like what we're saying with Ten Hag, that sometimes managers, man, you can talk yourself out of favor with just how you address the fans and just your understanding of where the fans are coming from. So I don't know if you had any kind of thoughts on his kind of his words going into, and I guess post the match.
So I think from what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I even tried to get it open.
Yeah, from what I read, I think essentially he was saying that ahead of this match, that he would expect his team to get up for all the matches equally. Do you get me? So it's it shouldn't just be because, you're facing Arsenal, where you're putting more effort into this match, as opposed to other matches. But I think sometimes when Ange is talking, and I think this is what kind of happened last year a little bit. I think something of a similar sort happened last year when he was talking about the City comments, is that I think sometimes you need to also be conscious of the fans. And it's for the fans, this means more. Do you get me? You need to understand the rivalry. You need to understand the tribalism. And for the fans, this means more. When the City game was going on, you need to understand that, fam, there's hatred here. Do you get me? Now, of course, and just the manager, I completely understand. Yeah, you go and tell your players, win. Like, do you get me? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to tell them to down tools because it might potentially help Arsenal. But I think sometimes there's a disconnect. It seems like there's a disconnect between like him, like getting where the Spurs fans are coming from. And I think that's kind of like where the problem lies. Like, I think, you know, I think he talks about football in kind of like this, you know, we need to make sure like we're operating on a certain level of professionalism and we're putting equal effort into everything. And, you know, he kind of has his own philosophy of how he likes to approach things. But I think sometimes, yeah, like he also needs to be conscious of the fans. Do you get me? And it's like, what? Arsenal versus Tottenham? Of course it means more to the fans. It does. Like, of course it
simple.
does. Like, do you get me? Yeah, like, of course it does.
The party line.
Yeah, like, of course it does.
Yeah.
Like, do you get me? Like, of course it does. Like, yeah, what? It's just like, what do you think United just beat Southampton 3-0? Do you think that if we beat Liverpool 3-0, that wouldn't have felt better? Like, do you get me? Like, do you think like certain games mean more to us? And I think as players and as a manager, you need to understand that. Like, do you get me? Like, you need to understand that. I remember reading a quote of Fergie, and I think he was talking about when he came in, I think he was talking about, yeah, his goal is to knock Liverpool off their perch. Like, do you get me? Like, bruv, this means something to us. Like, do you get me? We want to hear this. Like, we want to hear this. Like, and even when you're looking at like the old Arsenal teams, I remember Henry talking about how when Arsenal won the league at White Hart Lane, do you get me? I think the match finished in a draw, and I think they weren't gonna go over the top. And then because of how Spurs celebrated when they scored, they were like, watch this. Watch this. Like, do you get me? Like, it means more. Like, it does. Like, do you get me? You need to understand what it means to the fans. Like, you do. Like, do you get me? That's not to say that, of course, as players, you need to be professional. And yes, you should be putting in like maximum effort into everything. Like, do you get me? Like, I think those are good standards to have. But sometimes I just think there's a disconnect. Like when he's talking, I think he just needs to be a bit, because you know what it is again. And I think Spurs fans, because, and it's funny because ironically, I think they really like were fond of him, or are fond of him rather, because of how he talks. Do you get me? And how he approaches things. So he's got them on side. Don't undo all your hard work by now just going too far to the left. Like, do you get me? Like, you've got them on side. Like, a lot of them agree with your philosophy. They agree with how you're trying to play the game. They really like you. Like, let the fans be fans. Fans are tribal. Fans care about more fixtures, more care about some fixtures more than others. Like, do you get me? Like, so yeah, I think you just got to be conscious of that. That's what I would say.
I couldn't even find the comments, but yeah, I echo everything that you said, and yeah, I think he's just making life harder for himself. But hey, we'll see how it goes, man. Because but I guess before we move on from this game, I guess the kind of big kind of talking point throughout during it that I wanted to kind of get your quick thoughts on was like, did you think the Timber kind of tackle was a red? What were your kind of thoughts on that one?
No, I didn't think it was a red.
Yeah, no. I didn't think so either. I feel like I thought he was trying to like put his foot on the ball and roll it through his lap. I think he was trying to dribble, and then it was like he did fly into him, which is a yellow. So I think it's them ones where it'll be a disgrace. I won't play the clip again if they actually sent him off for that one. So yeah, I wanted to kind of get your quick thoughts where we were missing that we didn't discuss that. But yeah, I feel like that was the North London derby. I feel like for me, like I'm happy, but yeah, I feel like after next week is when I can then assess our season so far, because I already said it. We had such a tough start to the season that for me it was after that City game where we related to City, and then we can then see how close or how hard it's going to be to achieve our aim this season, which is to finally get over the line and win that title. So this is another game that takes us closer towards that. So I'm very happy with how it ended, man. So but yeah, we move on to the next one. Spurs fans, commiserations. Yeah, I hope you guys sleep well tonight. Understand? It's all right. On to the next one. But yeah, bro, I guess to kind of get into the next, two up front game, this is definitely one I'm going to have to rely on you, because I was actually out. So I've caught the highlights of this game, but obviously this is the, Ten Hag. We spoke about coming into it that this was a must-win game for this guy, man. We said if you drop points. So if you drop points to Southampton, yeah, man, the noise about your the position, your position as a Man United manager, it will be under severe doubt. So I don't know what your thoughts were in this game, kind of going into it. We kind of get into it. Are you good, bro? I thought you'd be happy. I thought you'd have been celebrating.
I am, bro. I'm always happy when Man United win. I always want us to win. I'm happy we got the 3 points. But again, man, we spoke about this in the preview, and I'm gonna try and be calm this time.
Okay, bro. Yeah, because last time, if anyone who missed the last stream, oh man, Major, this guy was going nuts. I was about to talk. This guy just kept going. I said, "Let me be quiet. Let me let him."
I'm gonna try and be calm this time.
Bro, talk to me.
But yeah, we won 3-0, but that doesn't tell the whole story at all. And I think when we were previewing this game, I said that, oh, you know what? Because we scored a few goals and we strung some passes together against Southampton, that is not going to make me think that we have turned things around. That's not going to make me have faith. That's not going to make me put my trust in the manager. And yeah, of course, we've got to start from somewhere. We've got to get the 3 points. But if you look and if you watch the game, which I watched everything, that first half, things could have went very differently. Very, very, very differently.
Bro, I was out. Yeah, I was out. I see. Oh,
very differently.
Southampton have a penalty.
Yeah,
I see. Oh,
very
Southampton
differently.
missed the penalty. I said it's over.
Very differently. So, like, Southampton were playing well in that first half, and they got the penalty, and they deserved to go ahead.
Talk to me about that. This Tyler Dibbling guy. Cause I saw the highlights.
He was doing his thing. He was doing his thing. Like, do you get me? I like when like you have a player.
Oh, like bro, sorry, bro. Sorry, I forgot to shout out my boy Nwaneri, bro. We spoke about it a little bit.
We need to talk about him. We need to talk about him. Let's go back. Let's go back. United could be on. Yeah, like, would you get me? I'll very firstly, let me just quickly say, we'll get back to him in 1 second.
Right,
but cool. Yeah, let me just so I don't lose my trail of thought. But yeah, essentially, Southampton were playing well. They got the penalty, Stonewall penalty. Anana save. Thank you, like, because
that really guy had 2 bites at the cherry, man.
Yeah, you really got us. And I think even like there was a long wait. I think Archer wasn't initially going to take the pen, then he ended up taking the pen, and then Anana saved it. And then obviously not too long after we get the goal. And one thing I will say, because you know what, I don't want to be overly negative.
Okay.
De Ligt, really good game.
Okay,
especially after that international break and all the pressure that was on him and how people were talking about him, and even when he was moving to United in the first place, there was a lot of eyes on the move. People were saying, you know what, even though he's still young, he's past it. He's a player that's not lived up to his potential. And of course, he's got a very long way to go. Like, do you get me? Like, this is one game. I've said it many times. It's Southampton, bro. There's only, and again, no disrespect to Southampton. It's more so United. It's more so I need to see consistency over several games. Like, do you get me? And even within this game, we got lucky. So what I will say is that whilst we've got a lot of work to do, I am really happy that De Ligt came, and after all the critics were really on his neck and really, like, you know how the press can start pressing and then social media starts pressing. And then, so I was happy, really happy with his performance. And I was happy he got his goal as well. Good header. And then, I think from there, we go into halftime up. And then the second half was much more comfortable. Like, I think from there, like, we started to create openings. Ahmad, again, I really like Ahmad, man. Like, he's such a technically gifted footballer, like, and he's the type of player that you want to see playing. So like, I really need to see his minutes increase this season because I'm a big fan of Ahmad and Xerxes as well. Like, it would have been great if he could have finished his performance with a goal. But a lot of his link-up play, a lot of the things that we've heard that makes him so great, and the things that we've seen that, makes us think that he can be a real asset. I think you saw a lot of it on display. Like, because I think against Liverpool, like, his touch was loose. Like, do you get me? Like, he was very rusty. But yeah, I think this was much more of what like we were expecting to see.
Sorry, bro.
But,
One of my boys, yeah, he says he's
yeah.
Jesus with no dog in him. So that's
What did you say? You said
he's Jesus with no dog. But yeah,
man.
I just remember now. But God, yeah.
One thing I will say though is that I
Mm.
think we do need to just see, because even in that match, like he had chances, and I think we need to see him just like put them away, because we
Yeah.
don't want this to become a thing. Thankfully, again, like me and Unorthodox Change, we were there when he got his debut goal at Old Trafford, and I was really happy for him, because I thought, you know what, we saw what happened with Hoyland, and we know
that
how
double
narratives,
countdown,
we know how
that
narratives can be formed, and we know
Mm.
how like the pressure can pile on and on. So I was really happy he just got off the mark quickly. And now I think obviously he doesn't have that burden, but I am seeing him, you know, kind of snatch at chances, and I would like to just see the ball go in the net for him. So like I think his confidence will get up, and like you said, composure. So but like his overall game, I think there was a lot of positive signs.
So I don't know if you saw this one. Yeah, I didn't watch the match live.
Rashford, obviously he got his goal, like nice finish to be fair as well. I think because of like the amount of players that were in the way, I think Ramsdale saw it late. So like it snuck in, but I was happy that he got his goal. And I think after he got his goal as well, like Rashford is such a confidence player. Like he's such a confident fam. Not like, you know, like all of a sudden, like your back just looks a bit more straight. Like, do you get me? Like all of a sudden, like you've got a bit more vim, like in everything that you're doing. And man, like I was really happy that Rashford got the goal. He still got a lot of like work to do as regards to getting back to where we want to see him back to. And again, like it's one of them ones where, as a Man United fan, in order for me to analyze, because you know what could be sometimes annoying, because really and truly, bro, like there's two ways that I can approach speaking about United. Every time United win, you can ask me, so what do you think? And I'll tell you, bro, it's Southampton. Do you get me? Like, I need to see it over 10 games. So it's only until the 10th game where I've seen it over where I'll start talking. Do you get me? So it's like I have to balance trying to like analyze the performance, but also I have to also preference it with, but you know, it's still not showing me like it's still not, there's still a long way to go. Do you get me? But at the same time, you've got to start from somewhere. But I think what I was saying in the preview was like, like as regards to Ten Hag specifically, there's big systematic problems. And I'm not gonna look at a win against Southampton and think, oh, you know what, everything has been solved again, because if that penalty goes in, then we can be having a completely different conversation. And we don't know what would have happened. Man United might have came back. We might have still won the match. But again, it would have been very different. Like that second half was much more comfortable because we went in at 1-0 up at half time. If we didn't, and it was the other way around, then all of a sudden, things could have got very complicated for us. So like I think, like I was happy that Rashford got his goal. Obviously, Garnacho came off the bench as well. He got his goal, good finish.
Talk to me about, you know, I want to hear. Talk to me about the midfield in this game, because obviously I saw the lineup and I saw Eriksen, Manu, and I have also heard that Manu didn't have the greatest game. I guess. So I guess touch on that a little bit. And I know Ugarte had a little cameo.
So he came on like late.
Like I guess the midfield in general throughout this game. I know the first half an hour, like you said, I heard Southampton were on you guys, but then after that, after you missed the penalties, how did the kind of game change? Do you think it became more of a Southampton mistake, or you guys were actually playing better as well? Like
I think we were playing better. Like second half, we were definitely, like, the performance was much more improved. But bro, you're gonna set me off again, bro. Because in all seriousness as well, like I think with United's midfield, like it's one of them ones where it's like, and again, I know what's the line you always say, like I'm no tactico. Do you get me?
No tactico, yeah.
But it's like I don't want to bore people, but like we will actually need to break down the tactics, because like it's always systematic. It's the systematic thing, because again, without like going into it too much, it looks like this season United are trying to press with like a 4-2-4 structure. So the front four are trying to initiate aggressive press in the first phase, and then we've got our 2 centre mids behind them. But one of the main problems with this is that the initial press isn't tight. And when you're coming up against a team who are confident and they're intelligent with their passes, then that initial press can get easily bypassed, and then we've got a big problem. So we constantly are being left with 2 man in midfield coming up against an organized midfield 3, and our space in between our 2 man is all over the place. And a lot of conversations have been had about Mount, because Mount, whilst our system still isn't great, because of his personal profile, and that's what I was talking about with Ugarte, things did improve, because at least whilst we still have systematic deficiencies, like the energy and effort and his natural industrious nature means that, you know what, the press is a little bit more effective, but still systematically is all over the place. And I will actually have to like break it down properly, like, and I don't want to get football nerdy, but that's where like a lot of our problems lie. So when we're talking about like Mainu, and we're talking about Ericsson and etc., and Ugarte and Casemiro and etc., of course you need personal profiles. And even like Ericsson, you know, his big problem is that you don't have legs.
He's got none.
Like, you don't have legs. Do you get me? So it's like Ericsson in this game is like, again, at home to Southampton, like he wasn't horrible, etc. But we know ultimately, like Ericsson, because of his legs, like that's going to be an issue. But also because of our system, then it's going to be more than an issue. Because essentially what happens is that our system is failing us, and the only way we can kind of cover it up is by having athletes or people who are really good off the ball. And what we need is a system that's competent, a system that's organized, a press that's structured, and then we add players who are industrious and technically gifted in that system. We put them in the system, and then things are more effective. So currently, like when it comes to Man United's midfield, like bro, is a whole breakdown. Maybe, I don't know, another time when we
you know what, maybe like, even ahead of that, because you know what, you guys have Palace next. Is it Palace that you have next? No, you have the, I think you have the, is it a Carabao Cup?
Yeah, Palace. Palace, so we got Barnsley, and then I think we got Barnsley on Tuesday, I think. I think in the League Cup. Then I think we've got Palace late game, 5:30 on Saturday. And then I think we've got the Europa League game. Who have we got in the Europa League game? FC20, I think it's FC20. Yeah, I think it's FC20. And then we've got Spurs.
Okay, cool. So I guess maybe in the preview for that Palace game, because the midfield is going to be a massive.
Yeah.
So you can get into it, because I guess I also want to ask you, because obviously not seeing the thing is, when Ugarte came on, where did he play and how was his kind of cameo?
Ugarte's cameo, I think, was good, because I think, again, like his profile, like, again, it was quite comfortable at that point, so there's not so much you can read into it, honestly speaking. Like, do you get me? Like, so he weren't really having to do much, and so but he came on, he looked comfortable, but again, like, I think the match was at that point, there's not much you can read into it. So it's like, but he looked calm, he looked like good. Again, I think Ugarte, like what I think a lot of us are going to be curious to see is like, how good is he on the ball? Like, do you get me? Like, because I think that's where there's a lot of question marks. And then I think Ugarte, pressing wise, he can work very well, but again, our system needs to be refined. Like, do you get me? So it's just like, and when you're talking about systems, even when you're talking about like Arsenal's 4-4-2 block, like, do you get me? And like, how it's United's is so disorganized. Like, do you get me? Like, it's so disorganized. Like, and I can talk about it for ages, but like when you're pressing and you're pressing half-heartedly, and I think that's the thing about Mount, because Mount actually helps with the press because of how he presses, but our system is still faulty. And then all of a sudden, like, that initial press gets bypassed, and then now all of a sudden it's like,
everyone's no man's land.
Like, oh damn, like, you get me? And then it's like, oh, there's Mainu there and there's Casemiro, and then Mainu's like, where's Casemiro? And Casemiro's like, I'm over here. And then it's like, oh, it's chaos. And then now is approaching the defensive line, and they're like, "Whoa!" I said, "You man didn't try help us." Like, "Oh, do you get me?" So then now it's panic, and then where again, why structure is so important is because again, like fam, these are just basic fundamentals of football. But it's like if you're pressing, you need to press together. Do you get me? If things are disorganized, your team's always going to be exposed, and then like. Again, we've bought players like Delete, we've bought Euro, and you know, a lot of what has been said is like, cool, are we going to be able to move our defensive line?
Was your line higher?
Like, do you get me? It's just like, bro, it's just, yeah, bro, you know, Southampton, bro, like, do you get me? bro, you know what it is? This isn't the game to do this analysis, bro.
No, but I feel like it kind of is a swap at the same time. Because no. Was your line actually higher, though? My question.
You know what it is? It looked better. Like, it did look better in all seriousness. Like, do you get me? Okay. Like, it did look better. And yeah, naturally, like, Delete and Martinez are going to be able to, like, play higher up than Maguire and do you get me?
Lindelof.
Evans, do you get me? Yeah. So it's just like, yeah. So, like, I think, like, yeah, like, you know, hopefully it will get there. Like, hopefully it will get there. And you know what's so funny as well? Because, like, and you know what it is? You're actually right. Because you know what it is? Yeah, I'm saying Southampton. But yeah, no, we do need to actually analyze games like this. Because again, one, we need to start from somewhere. And like I said, like, we need to see it consistently over a period of time. But, like, we also need to see it done week in, week out. And again, yeah, it should be starting from here. So yeah, I'll say that it looked better. But overall, like, our structure, like, just the structure of our team, because, like, that's the thing, like, the press involves everyone, like, it affects everyone rather, like, do you get me? So it's like, if your initial press is disorganized and then now your two midfield players are not tight together and there's open spaces, then all of a sudden defenders are getting dragged all over the place, do you get me? And now it's really problematic. Like, and I think that's United, man. Like, yeah, I'm just because there's a manager called Ten Hag.
Hey,
I'm not trying to get riled up again. Do you get me? But again, in all seriousness, though, I'm really happy that we got the 3 points. I'm happy that like, we got the 3-0 win. Like, do you get me? I think it was important for us. And I told you, like, I think for Ten Hag, like, he needs to go on a run now. Like, so he's got the first one, but I said, yeah, like, I think he needs to be beating Palace and Spurs as well. Like, so
that's gonna be a big game.
Yeah, big game. And it's gonna be it's gonna be depending on, because Spurs right now is not looking great for them at all. So, like, depending on what's going on with them as well, because, like, what have their results been? Like,
they one
lost
win,
to
one
you.
draw.
Yeah, they lost to Newcastle. They drew to Leicester and they beat Everton. Like, do you get me?
We'll talk about Everton. They're in trouble. So
like, do you get me? Like, that's going to be a really interesting game.
No, I guess on that then, because I heard that there were a couple of knocks as well. I guess I'm seeing it. I don't know how bad they are when it comes to Martinez. I heard that he took a little knock. I don't know. Who else? I heard a couple of players towards the end.
So I think Delete came off, but apparently he was cramped. So I think he's okay. Martinez is not sure what the extent of his injury is, because initially it looked like he weren't trying to come off, and then I think eventually, like, he did come off, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Because I think we ended up like we started with Dalot, Mazraoui, Delete, and Martinez, and I think we finished with Evans, Maguire, Casemiro. And that,
okay. I heard Mazraoui. Did he take a knock as well?
Yeah, like, he came up as well. Yeah, so it's like, again, so I'm not sure what, like how bad, like,
bad. Well, this is another one. This is another one that we can talk about when we talk about the midfield. I think something else that doesn't really get spoken about sometimes is the tempo that you play with, and how the way you play can also lead to more injuries. It's all nice playing this. You even trying to play this heavy metal. Everyone's running and you're pressing. It might be nice when it works, but I think you also leave your team open up to also, I think, more kind of muscle kind of injuries when you play that way too. So
people talk about that with Mount a lot of the time. Like, they say, oh, you know what, is that got something to do with it? Like, do you get me? And it's just like, yeah, because you know what it is again, like I think football has evolved over the years and there's such an emphasis on tactics and, you know, pressing, and we saw Klopp style and we've seen like Pep with a possession-based style, and we're seeing all of these different managers like trying to like put their imprint like on the game as regards to how like you can play and like different systems, and you know, and like everyone's talking like the inverted with the 6 and the 8 and the, do you get me? Like and it's so funny as well because it's like, yeah, even like a 6 and an 8, like it's funny because when we were growing up, like that wasn't a thing. Like, do you get me? No one called anyone a 6. Like, do you get me? Like, yeah, it was just like, and I remember people speaking about it like before. It was very much more like your central midfielders were your central midfielders. Like, do you get me? And I heard Keane and Scholes speak about it as well, and they were just like, yeah, like one of them sits and the other one goes. The other one goes. One of them sits.
I hear it.
It was that simple. Like, that's how you have 2 man in midfield, 4-4-2. One of them goes, the other sits. Other one sits, the other one goes. Do you get me? Now you've got a dedicated person to sit. Do you get me? But then also he needs to be able to. He needs to be Rodri. Do you get me?
That's what he needs to be.
You need to be able to sit. You need to be able to score screamers. You need to be able to drive the ball. You need to be able to pass the ball. You need to be press resistant. You also need to be a bully. Like you need to be everything.
All of that,
like, do you get me? That's why they're looking at Rice and they say, "Oh, so one-dimensional."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So one-dimensional. So one-dimensional. So look at him. Look at him.
Man. Bro,
you can drive.
Generous, man. This is generous,
you can
man.
drive.
Well, one guy to have what Swiss Army knife, have everything in his locker.
Roger changed the game. Man said, "What? You can't do everything." Man said, "What? You can't do everything." Man said, "I can." What you need? Roger said, "You need me to sit. I can sit. You need me to go forward. I can go forward. You need me to be a dictator. I can be a dictator. You need me to break up play. I can break up play. You need the Champions League winning goal. I'm here." He said, "Whatever you want."
Haaland's not scoring?
He said,
me and coach. Yeah.
He said,
I hear it. I hear it. He's definitely changed the game, man. He's definitely changed.
Like he's like, you get me? And it's crazy as well because it's like even with that position, again, I think like how people look at football, like again, it's just, and I'm not someone who likes to do like the whole like rubbishing of this generation. Like, do you get me? Like, because I obviously like, yeah, when we're talking about nostalgia and stuff, it's like obviously like, yeah, I fully understand like why people look at football now and, you know, like they're disheartened. I fully get it. Do you get me? But also I do sometimes feel like, yeah, like we're in a different age where there's social media and there's clips and, you know, like everything is being overly scrutinized. And I do sometimes feel like, yeah, like how players are analyzed now, like it's very different to how players were analyzed back then. Like, do you get me? And I'm not even saying that players back then weren't better, because I do think that the standard of football back then was better. Like, do you get me? I do agree with that, me personally. Like, do you get me? Like,
but then don't you also think at the same time, like in terms of from like a physical point of view, like these guys are being asked to do so much more as well when it comes to like before, I think you could get away with being that, you're the techie player and you look good on the ball, but how much also are you being part of the whole system and tracking
that's because the systems have changed. Like, do you get me? So it's like that's why a lot of people prefer football back then, because they're looking at it and there's like there's more mavericks. Like, do you get me? There's more people where it's just like you give them the ball and they're just gonna do something brilliant. Do you get me? Whereas now it's just like, oh nope. Again, a lot of people spoke about Grealish. I used to love watching Grealish at Villa. Do you get me? This guy will pick up the ball, beat a player, drop a shoulder, play the pass. And obviously he went to City and people have been highly critical of him because it just seems that, you know what? He gets the ball, he keeps possession, he passes it back. Yeah, he does try to play a through ball at times. He does try to beat a player at times. But like the imagination is so different to how it was when we saw him at the... Do you remember, like, not this Euros, the one prior, like how people were like, you need to play Grealish. You need to play this guy's just, do you get me? And I think, like, but what he's been asked to do in the Pep system Like, do you get me? It's different. So I'm not saying that he also, because I think he also needs to take personal responsibility and say, you know what, like I've not necessarily performed to like the ability or to the height that I know that I'm capable of. But also like in his system, like, do you get me? He's been asked to do different things. Like, and I think, yeah, like football is so much more systematic now. Like, do you get me? And
it's
yeah,
true.
so it's just like, yeah, things have changed. Like, do you get me? Like, things have definitely
Yeah,
have changed.
and
But yeah,
I feel like the good thing with the systems as well is that it also, I
mhm,
think it though I guess the point of a good system is to minimize the limitations of each player too. Where it's
yeah,
kind of that whole argument too, where we say that yeah, maybe at the top the world class players might have reduced, but I also feel like at the bottom these smaller teams too, they're like technical or like physical
yeah,
ability
yeah,
too are
yeah,
probably
yeah,
better
yeah.
than the teams in the past as well. So the overall competition is
Mm,
more competitive in general.
mhm,
Obviously, you still have like teams like City who are just destroying it, but for most other teams,
mm.
most other matches in the Prem, I think are probably a lot more challenging, a lot less banked than maybe they would have been previously. I don't know if you agree with that.
I think you know what. Like again, I think it's sometimes when you're comparing eras, it's very difficult. Like, do you get me? So it's like that's why, like, a lot of the time I hear people talk about, for example, points totals and saying, "Oh, this team only got this amount of points," but like this team now they've got this amount of points, so that means this team is better than that. That's not how it works. Like, do you get me? Like, yeah, like you would need to that team would need to play in that era and vice versa. Like, do you get me? Like competition was different, like what was required was different. Like you can't automatically just take like a points total, for example, and say this team was much better than that team. Like it doesn't necessarily work like that. So yeah, I just think overall, like, do you get me? There's so much to this topic when it comes to like,
Yeah,
yeah, systems and like how things have changed and etc. But yeah, I do think like also though with that, like with me being someone who loves, do you get me, like the history of football and watching football in the past, and I love all the things that I've grown up on. I do also feel like sometimes these players, like because of social media and etc., like they are scrutinized like to a different level. Do you get me? And I think sometimes it is easier to romanticize players of the past because we didn't have Twitter back then. So when there was a mistake, it wasn't going viral like how it is now. Like, do you get me? There weren't failed comps after 2 minutes after a match spreading. Like, do you get me? Like,
yeah,
fam, people weren't creating like names like of abuse. Like, do you get me? Like, there's so much like things that are going on right now. Like, do you get me? Like, the pressures are crazy. Like, some of them are
yeah,
horrible. Like, some of them are like really, really bad. Some of
yeah.
them are like just like pressure. Like, do you get me? But overall, yeah, like it's a different like climate. So I think, yeah, that's what I was saying. That.
Yeah, no,
Mhm,
I think that's fair, man. And
mhm,
I guess to kind of before we move on to the next games, I'll just
mhm.
quickly circle back a little bit to touch on that
Oh yeah.
non-binary kid,
Mhm,
man. Yeah, bro. Yeah, came on, and you think in a game like that too, the pressure's on. It's only 1-0. Is he gonna come on, be that typical young player, maybe misplaced passes, puts under more pressure? And nah, man, that guy came on. He just looked so comfortable on the ball, and it was such a great
mm,
cameo. And it's
mm,
so interesting because, like we spoke about, I don't know, I don't want to get back into it because it'll be another long convo about Spurs' transfer window and kind of what we were saying when we were even doing our transfer kind of review. Where it's like it's all great bringing like the Archie Gray, the Bergvall, but like in this game now, when you now need a goal, you now need something. Why didn't Andrew so trust in his youth as well and bring them on to maybe try to change something? But I thought that's an interesting one to kind of see how that goes on throughout the season. I've heard that kind of
mm,
criticism that we spent how much money on these players, and in the game that we needed them, they want some. We didn't give him the opportunity to actually try to do something. Where Arteta, for all the criticism that he does get, he actually did bring on Naneri, which obviously he had no choice probably
mm,
because we had no one else to bring on. But I think
mm.
he had a very very tidy cameo, bro. I don't know if
Very
you want
quick,
to touch on it.
very quickly.
Mm,
Firstly, baller.
mm, yeah.
That's first and foremost baller.
Mm.
And yeah, like if I was an Arsenal fan, I'll be want to
You
see.
see what you did to
I
Sa?
would. That I would be.
I see
It's
when you
so.
say don't even
I was
say he's
just.
funable and
I was
because she
just
knows
about.
exactly what I was gonna say.
I was just about to bring up that comment. I was just about to bring it up. But yeah, nah, baller. And yeah, like with me, like like it's always great seeing young players like break through. And yeah, um, it's I think we've spoken about it, but actually, yeah, it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts very quickly on Arteta and young players and
Mm.
his decisions. very quickly, because I know there's been a lot of criticism as regards to him not giving them minutes, and like there was the Champions League fixtures last season where they like a lot of people were saying, you know what, like this would have been a game where we could have played younger players and etc. So yeah, very quickly.
I think overall the bigger criticism of Arteta is just using his squad better, more specifically than even young players is the first thing I would say that he gets that, and I think he deserves that criticism. Because even last year when we had the Nketiahs, the Reece Nelsons, the Fabio Vieiras, even in games that you thought, please, let's Saka rest. Okay, he's tired. Please take him off. No, this guy ran him into the ground every single time. So that's why I think because of that issue that he has, then in the Champions League last year where we're like 4-0 up, or like 5-0 up, and people are saying bring on the kids. I also think it's too easy to say that, because when you haven't been playing Nketiah or Reece Nelson, and then now you're 4-0 up, and then your first sub is to bring on Nwaneri, who, as much as it might excite the fans, I think from like a manager kind of point of view, you can't overlap the guys that are even on the bench who are more senior trying to get on. Is the first point
I understand what you're saying.
About. Yeah,
I think that's a very good point.
And I think the other big issue now with us as well is that we're also at a position where there's so much pressure, man. Everyone is reminding us every chance they get that, Arteta, you haven't won nothing big. You need to now do it. And it's all fair, and the pressure is right to put on us. But at the same time, you then can't expect the manager who has that to now be saying, let me throw in kids as well for the fans, to let them see the ballers. I don't want to see that either, innit? Like, so I think he can do better in some degrees where there's other games. Like I want to see in like the smaller cup games. Yeah. Start Nwaneri, start Lewis Skelly. Give these guys an actual chance, because clearly they're talented enough. But I also think the criticism also gets overblown sometimes. Where it's like, you don't want to give kids a chance, bro. We're past that point now, bro. I want to win stuff. I don't want you to just be giving kids a chance to make me feel better. Then saying like, let these guys work through it as well. And clearly, this was a game where he trusted Nwaneri. The big reason why we let Fabio Vieira leave back to, I think, Porto on loan this summer was Arteta saying that he wants to give those minutes to Nwaneri. So it's good to see him actually do that, and hopefully it continues in the odd times that he can do it throughout the season. It's kind of my fault on that. So yeah.
I think the point regarding obviously his overall squad management being criticized, I think that makes sense, because if you are not rotating your squad when you do have fixtures where you're trying to give players an opportunity, then you're probably going to prioritize the players who you've not been including, who probably will feel like they should be playing like much more. Like, and again, because you want to ensure that, you've got a squad which is good enough or big enough to compete, because if an injury happens, then you're going to need that player to come in. So you're trying to keep people happy. But I think that still is a criticism of Arteta, because I think, I think it still also leads to the end result, because what you're saying is that essentially his squad management is bad, so he has to appease players before he appeases the young players. But I think if his squad management was better, then everyone would be appeased anyway.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So it's like the young players will be able to get some minutes, the squad players will be able to get their minutes, and the first team players will be able to get rest. And I think that's really important, because you don't want to burn players out. And even when we're talking about someone like a Kobe, you know how I feel about him. Like, do you get me? Like, he's got all the potential in the world. I think that sometimes it's like, you know what? Like, he's someone who's turned 19 in April, and like the responsibilities that are being given to him already, like it's a lot. Like, you're looking at it and you're thinking, oh, he needs to play every game. Like, do you get me? And of course, he's extremely talented, but like, do you get me? Like, you want to make sure that you're looking after players. Like, do you get me? And you're not like allowing them to burn out. Like, and I think there's been many examples of players. Like, I know a lot of Barca fans, they've spoken about Pedri, and they feel like, oh, he was being mismanaged. And they weren't happy with how he was being played. And that's someone where, they believe he has world-class talent, and they're looking at it and saying, you know what, he's not being managed properly. And I think sometimes, it is a thing where it's like, you know what, like, you want to make sure that you're, by satisfying in life, it's hard to satisfy everyone. Like, do you get me? And I think if you're a manager, that's a very hard thing to do. But I also feel like, you know what, like, you can create a scenario where like you are doing the best, like you're doing the best within the means of your goals. Like, do you get me? If that makes sense. I think I kind of butchered that sentence, but I'm sure you understand what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
man. It's the idea that we need. Yeah.
yeah, like, do you get me? So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course your priority is the title. Do you get me?
Yeah.
You're going for the title. There's no time for sympathy. Like, do you
Mm.
get me? But also, I think it doesn't have to be sympathy. Like, do you
Yeah,
get me?
if
Like,
you're good
yeah,
enough, you're old enough.
yeah,
Innit?
like,
So,
do you get me? It doesn't have to
yeah.
be sympathy. I think there's simply games where it's just like, no, you can actually just give these players minutes. Like, do you get me?
Yeah.
It's not about sympathy. Like, do you get me? It's like, no, genuinely, like, you can give these players minutes. Like, yeah, because obviously, yeah, you might just end up with a situation where you've got players who potentially could have been great, and then they end up moving along or going to other clubs, and then
Yeah.
now
I
you're
think that's
looking at
what even happened with Cozy Dewberry as well. That I've heard
Mm.
that one of the big reasons why he left Arsenal this summer to go to Brighton was, I think it was the cup game that we had last year where we chose to bring on, I forgot his name. I think it's like Sam. Oh, I forgot his name. I was like Sago Junior, or his name, something like that is his name. And it was like a very random young player that not a lot of Arsenal fans had even, I guess, unless you're locked into the youth, hadn't heard about. We didn't play Cozy Dewberry. He probably felt a type of way for, I'm meant to be next up, and you have the opportunity to play a young player, and it's not me that you gave the opportunity to. You know, clearly maybe I should go somewhere else. Don't know how true that is, but I won't be surprised if that had a big impact on him and his decision to leave. So it's like you were saying that, yeah, if you don't also show these guys that there is a pathway through as well, then them too, they'll stop believing them. I think I was hearing the other day about Chelsea, the Chobham kind of academy, basically feeling like their path of it has been completely blocked. That they're just being used to make money at this point because there's no real way for them to get into the team and how they've kind of invested in youth. So it definitely works both ways as well. Where you definitely have to, even with the risk, you have to still play these young. I remember Wenger saying it like, when you play a young centre back, you have to play them knowing they're going to make mistakes, but you have to do it anyway. You can't actually give them the minutes. So, and I feel like Arteta deserves a criticism 100%, but I also think sometimes there's not enough balance in the discussion of what he has to deal with right now in terms of the competition and what that sounds like what we're trying to do. So yeah. I just saw this comment, just bring it up. Wendy says, see the excuses you're making for Arteta, but just 2 minutes ago you were getting onto Ant for not bringing Bergvall on. And it's not even necessarily like I'm getting onto Ant for not bringing Bergvall on, but it's kind of like I remember when we did the judging Spurs' transfer window, they'll say, but it's a great window, great youth talent. They're up. Like that's why they spent so much on Archie Gray and Bergvall. Then
what is that? Is that what Spurs fans were saying?
That's because I've heard this criticism within the Spurs fan base where they're like they spent so much money on these young players because they're clearly so talented. To the point I'm making is they're so talented, you now have the opportunity to use them. That's literally all I'm saying about the situation in this game. Where what's the point in investing in the youth to put on your bench and then you don't even bring them on? Like we didn't spend 50 million on Nwaneri or understand. You spent 40 mil on Archie Gray, another like 10 on Bergvall. Give an opportunity. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's unreasonable to request of Ange. Where clearly, I think it's that conversation of if Ange wanted these young players, play them. If he didn't, then we then say that he was given these young players and it's not really what he wanted. But we'll see. So yeah, we'll move on from that one. But where do you want to go next, bro? Because I think we can kind of take this two ways. We can go to the Bournemouth Chelsea match, which I'll just say absolute daylight robbery. Or we can go to the Ops. I don't know if you want to dance in their graves a little bit on the the Liverpool Forest.
Let's talk about the Ops.
Talk about that, bro.
Let's talk about the Ops, bro. Let's talk about them.
Talk about because you know what? I'll give myself a bit of credit here too. Going into it because I remember saying it.
Talking about
match that I felt
Forest.
Like
more difficult than people think.
Yeah, I know those people thinking, Captain Salah, he's gonna have a great game in this match, but man, I think Forest, like I kind of predicted going to, I feel like they were gonna frustrate Liverpool, and that's exactly what they did. And I know you were, to be fair, he was off because I don't know, I was gonna touch on, I guess, the hot in the day. I said that's another player that I think could be a problem, and I thought it would actually be Trent, but it wasn't even Trent that he dealt with. It was actually what's his name, young right back. I forgot his name now. Bradley that he dealt with for that goal as well. So I don't know. I'll give you free reign, bro. What are your thoughts on this game, on this Liverpool Forest match?
It was a beautiful thing to see, bro. It's a beautiful thing to see, man. Yeah, man. Like, let me set the scene. It was Saturday. Like, do you get me? Obviously, United, all of the emotions I've been feeling, everything regarding the manager. But I was thankful we got the win at least. So I was like, you know what, at least it's 3 points. we move. Then I was thinking, you know what? Liverpool versus Forest, and I agreed with you. I said, yeah, I do think that people are doing Forest like a disservice a little bit. Like, yeah, they can be tricky to break down. But bro, 1-0. Hey man, I saw the result. I saw the result, bro. You know, one of them ones. You know, sometimes like you're ecstatic, like you're jumping up and down. You know what it was. It's
What?
like, you know, when you see the result, you sit back and you just.
So just the smile on your face. I knew it, man. So let me hear what your thoughts are. I know you'd have loved, you'd have enjoyed this one. You'd have enjoyed this one. And you know what's so funny? Even to talk here, I don't even want to talk. Even Jota, this guy, we'll give him a lot of credit for his clinicalness. And recently, but I've seen this guy miss some chances that he like, if it was Nunez, they'll be on his neck. So I hope these Liverpool fans are also looking at him
Hey
and say
man,
he's getting better.
I hear
These
you, but
chances that he's missing, man.
Yachta's got much more credit in the bank,
No,
man.
100,
Like,
100,
yeah,
100,
it's
100,
like,
100.
yeah, he's got much more credit in the bank. Like,
100.
it's only been a few games. Like, Yachta's normally reliable, so I think,
Yeah.
it will take much more than that for Liverpool fans to start questioning him. But yeah, I think, no, fair play to Forest. I think, you know, they came with a plan, like, and yeah, like we were talking about, you know, Arteta and like being able to adapt and like, do you get me, come with like a concrete way of how you're going to approach a game. And I think, yeah, Forest, they made life really difficult for Liverpool. Like, do you get me? They said, yeah, we're going to frustrate you. Like, and also, like, we are also, sorry, I'm just seeing. He's only saying this because of FPL, you know.
Oh, is he? Okay, I was thinking, well, what does he have
Look at
against
him.
Salah?
Look at him.
What
Look
does
at
he have
him.
against? It's all right, bro.
Yeah.
You saw what Salah did last week. So,
Man.
yeah.
Hey, that was unnecessary, bro. You don't need to do that.
Nah,
You
man.
don't
I
need
just had to.
you don't need to, you don't need
I
to
wasn't
do
even.
that.
I wasn't even at
You
you.
don't
You know, I
even
was
need to
thinking
do that,
FPL,
bro.
but I
You
forgot
don't
that he
even
did
need to do
against
that.
you.
You don't
I was
even
at 17
That
points
was so unnecessary.
against United.
That
My
was
bad,
so
bro.
unnecessary.
That wasn't even intentional.
I'm about to lock off this stream. That was so
Yeah, man.
unnecessary.
Hey, man. I
But
don't care
yeah,
about my local exchange. Yeah.
but yeah, nah, Forest, yeah, nah, like they like they came with a plan and they really frustrated Liverpool. And yeah, brilliant finish for the goal. And yeah, man, that I think it's good to see Liverpool lose always. Like, do you get me? Like, it's always good. Like, always good. And you know what it is as well? Like, there was a lot of singing and dancing, and you know, like won 3 games and we've not conceded any, and etc. And obviously, I'm having my laughs about it, but overall, like, do you get me? Like, I think it's just one of them ones where you're just gonna have to see how Slot and Liverpool respond. Like, do you get me? And I do think they'll respond. Like, so yeah, like they would be really disappointed with the result. But overall, I don't think it changes much as regards to what we've said about Liverpool or what a lot of people think about Liverpool. I think, yeah, like again, I think most people are quite confident that Liverpool will finish in the top 4. I think a lot of people have got them finishing 3rd. If they were actually to challenge for the title, again, we said that would be an overachievement. Like, and I think you look at their window, you look at the lack of signings, and I think, yeah, like Liverpool's expectations, like, would be top 4 for this season. So yeah, like I think obviously it's a blip. I hope it's more than a blip. That would be great. Like, do you get me? That would be absolutely magnificent. But yeah, like I think. And yeah, it's really interesting as well because obviously I think in the preview I was speaking about Trent, and yeah, you know what I think about Trent. Like again, generational right back, generational footballer, and yeah, he's able to create things out of nothing. And in that game, I think he got moved into midfield, and yeah, Bradley was playing right back. And I saw a lot of Liverpool fans, they weren't happy with it. Like, yeah, they were saying, you know what, like when that move was made, like it just didn't work. And obviously, I've spoken about Trent's best position, and I've spoken about the obsession, which I find strange, about trying to convert him into a midfielder when he is a right back. Like he's a right back. Like, but I do also understand the need for, like, you know, maybe when you're trying to chase a game and you're trying to switch things up, and you're looking at him and you're thinking, you know what, you've got the skill set to play in midfield. Maybe we can try a different option. Like, do you get me? So I get it. Like, I'm not like, obviously I'm happy you lot lost, so I don't want it to work. But like, I'm not like overly critical of Slot, like in that regard. Do you get me? Like, because I think, yeah, maybe he was just trying something. But obviously, I think we've seen like him take Trent off like quite a few times and put Bradley on like towards the end of matches. And I'm just wondering like if he's thinking there's a way of incorporating both of them. And I think Bradley's someone with really good potential. But yeah, with me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, yeah, you need to keep playing Trent at right back. Like, do you get me? Like, yeah, don't try and do this midfield experiment. Like, I don't know why people are so obsessed with it. Like, again, like you're trying to overcomplicate something that's not complicated. Again, Trent's weaknesses at right back defensively, in my opinion, they're greatly exaggerated. Going forward, he's generational. He can do things at right back that we've never seen before. So yeah, don't overcomplicate something that doesn't need to be complicated. So it's going to be interesting to see how Slot approaches that. But yeah, overall, very happy to see Liverpool lose. Long may it continue. And you know what? You beat us 3-0 and then you go lose to Forest at home. Wonderful. Let it continue. Let it continue. Let it continue.
Oh
let
my
it
god.
continue.
Okay, brother.
There we go, bro.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for the analysis. But I guess going from that narrow loss for Liverpool to what was the most narrow win for Chelsea. Yeah. Oh my god. That's it was a daylight robbery, nighttime robbery, bro. They were like bandits in the night.
You know one thing I'll give Chelsea credit for, bro, before we get into this.
God.
Is that club has one chant. And when I was watching this game on TV, bro, to be fair to those fans, to be fair to those away fans, bro, they didn't stop singing it, bro. Literally, fam. I was just hearing Chelsea, 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 Chelsea. Bro, they didn't stop singing it, bro. And maybe that's why they were able to get the winner. So you know what? Fair play to them. Because honestly, bro, I was thinking, I've never seen the song rinse like this, bro. It was just on repeat. It's on repeat, bro. Bro, I'm used to going to Old Trafford, bro. Fam, loads of songs are flying, bro. Like, fam, these lot were rinse and repeating. And I said, you know what? Fair play, you got your goal. So yeah, like, I'm sure those away fans, they had a blast of a time. But as regards to the actual game and the actual performance, again, we spoke about United and obviously Southampton missing a penalty and then that changed the game. But I think with the Bournemouth game, like, yeah, Chelsea, oof, yeah.
Bro, you know what I heard someone say this, yeah, I think it's so true. It was a Ten Hag win, bro. And I think the comparison to Ronaldo and Sanchez makes it even more true. Because I don't know how they left with the 3 points in that match, bro. It was actually an absolute robbery. Like I feel like there's so many players that we can give disaster. We might have to stop there like a disaster class of the week or something. Because there's so many players on this pitch that we can give it to. I don't know which one. The candidates in my mind, bro. If Vanderson, whatever his name is, bro, that cameo, I wasn't moved. If Vanderson, I was not moved. I was not moved by that cameo, bro. Like that cameo was so stinky. So stinky. You then had the penalty to save yourself, and he just it was just a tame penalty. Just a tame penalty. So that was one. I think he was horrible. Was it Fofana in the pass back as well, leaving him complete? I saw people. It's so funny when fans have their favorite. I saw people try put the blame on Sanchez in that like the penalty. I was like, no, that's not Sanchez's fault. It's your 70 mil centre back that gave him that criminal hospital pass back. That's that put him under so much pressure. And that was a horrible performance. Who was? I think those are the two kind of standout ones. The two standout. I don't know if you have any other candidates, bro, for this. Bro, because I was watching the match and I was like, I don't know how these guys have not conceded to this Bournemouth team. I think if Bournemouth had a competent striker, there's no way they don't win that game. I couldn't believe that it actually stayed 0-0 until then, to allow Chelsea to nick it at the end. But bro, what was your kind of thoughts in this game? But I was just thinking, this is poor. This is so poor.
No, I think Chelsea definitely got away with one. But
Oh,
again, man, like that's what happens when you don't capitalize. Like,
mm,
yeah, like that's football. Like, do you get it?
mm,
So, yeah, when you don't capitalize, when you don't make the most of your opportunities, then you're gonna get punished. And to be fair to Chelsea, like I think that goal was very well taken by Nkuku. Like, I think, yeah, like the strength, the way he held
yeah.
defenders off, and then the finish, like really good finish. And then
Mm.
obviously Sancho with the assist as well. And I think he came on and he done well. Like,
He was their
do you
best
get me?
player. He was definitely
Yeah,
the
he
best Chelsea
came on
player on
and
the
done
pitch.
well. He came on
Yeah.
and done well. And I think, you know, a lot has been said about Sancho and how he plays. And I think you saw kind of like a good insight into how he wants to play football. Like he likes
Mm.
combining with other players. Like he's not someone that is necessarily trying to pick the ball up and beat four players and then cross it in. Like, do you get me? He wants 1-2s. Like, do you get me? He likes to try and play football, like, you know, with like angles and like creating space. And yeah, like I think he's someone that is technically gifted. And obviously it didn't work at United and
Mm.
he's gone to Chelsea. He's got a new start, assist in the first game. I'm sure he'll be delighted. So yeah, like Chelsea, they got away with one, man. But like, again, that's what happens when you've got quality, you've got players that you can bring off the bench, like, you know, and you've got players that can make things happen. But yeah, on another
Yeah.
day, is completely different. Like I've seen
Bro.
again, even yeah, yeah. Like I won't even get into this. Like I'll because
Okay.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, Chelsea definitely got away with one. I think Chelsea fans they'll tell you that themselves.
Yeah,
Like I think
bro.
they know
Yeah.
that. Do you get me?
Bandits.
Yeah,
Bandits, man.
man.
And talking about players coming off the bench too, another candidate I just remember too is João Felix, bro. This is what I mean about sometimes like this pretty footballer that is good in the eye. He does all the flicks and tricks, bro. He had a disastrous cameo. Talking about Sancho coming on doing well, I think he was poor when he came off the bench in this game. I don't know if you noticed it. I was watching him thinking, brother, please, these flicks and tricks, you guys need to get a handle of this game. You're not like when like you don't have like I guess the self-awareness to know that you guys are lucky to still be in this match and you're coming on trying to do flicks like you're ahead. Please
Hey,
put your
ballers are
foot on the
gonna ball,
ball.
man.
Nah, man, put your foot on the ball
Ballers
and
are gonna
control it,
ball.
man. Nah, man. But yeah, but
I
and the
said
big
whether we're 5-0 down,
bro.
hey man, we're
Hey,
gonna
couple
ball.
step forward. Yeah, so nah, I was watching it just thinking, I don't know what this guy is doing. But yeah, big ups to Nkunku because yeah, he really made that goal himself as well. Like Sancho gave him the good like a pass, but yeah, he had so much still left to do to finish it off. And we know, man. I'd probably say similar to
He
how
took the fantasy disrespect personally.
yeah, he did. I was like, oh, just after people took you out of the team is when you now want to
Yeah,
come on
he
and do
took it
this. So
personally.
yeah, I wasn't very happy with that, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I was gonna say something just now about the kind of the Nkuku, because yeah, I think similar to what I used to always say about Trossard at Arsenal in terms of him being our best finisher. I feel the same way for Chelsea, man. Nkuku is just so clearly the one player that they have in their squad. No, I guess other than Palmer. Palmer's kind of cash too. But one of the only players they have in their squad that if you give them a good opportunity, 9 times out of 10, I would trust you more to finish it. Because Jackson had another game where this guy had so many good openings that he could have done so much better with. And like we spoke about going into this match, going into the end of the transfer window, them not getting that striker, it's gonna come back to bite them. I feel like in a lot of these games, but yeah, they go over the line, so fair play to them. They got their 3 points, but it was definitely it reminded me so much of watching United and Ten Hag and just saying, yeah, this is not sustainable at all. You lot need to find something quickly to kind of regroup because it's all nice. Buying all the young players in the world, but for you to have a few injuries and now you have to play the Sassia right back. And they had to bring, I think Vega, who's their right back. He actually did quite well as well, to give him some credit. Like their kind of left back, I guess centre mid kind of hybrid player. Having to start him in midfield because of illnesses and injuries, I feel like Chelsea squad should be just too good to need to do that. But yeah, fair play. They got their win, but it was very, very tight. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do in other kind of similar matches this season. So yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on the Chelsea Bournemouth game. Then if you had anything else you wanted to add on that, or we move on to the next fixture.
The only thing I would say very quickly is I think just to be fair, I think obviously Maresca, he's like new. So you gotta give him time to like try and figure all of this out because there's a lot to figure out in it. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no
that's
issue.
all I'll say. So
No issue.
I think like
go on,
Ten
sorry.
Hag, part of the reason why a lot of us are so critical of Ten Hag is because like he's been here for a while And yeah, Maresca, like, yeah, he's got to be given a sufficient amount of time, like, before we really start like judging him as a manager. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fair.
that's all I've got.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And
Mhm,
again, with Chelsea, I've made my feelings very clear that when you spend 1.2 billion, it's not
mhm,
Maresca's fault. But I'm also not going to keep allowing you to say you need time. You need to no, man. You guys have given you. I haven't even applied pressure in my eyes by just how the
mhm,
resources they put into this club,
mhm,
and I'm not going to let them get away with it. So I'm gonna keep
mhm.
reminding them.
So
Is
your
what I
thing
would
is
say. Yeah,
a
yeah.
Chelsea football
It's a
club.
Chelsea thing,
Yeah,
football
man
club
said it's
thing.
not even
Yeah.
Maresca.
It's
Man
never
said
Maresca.
Chelsea football club.
I've said it. I don't even have too much kind of
Mm,
ill will or pressure on Maresca. He's a young
mm,
manager. He reminds me a lot of the Arteta when he came in. But unfortunately for them,
mm,
they're not in a position where they can say, maybe we have to like it's like we don't have a good team right now. Understand? Maybe as we could
mm,
at the beginning. It's like you have a very good team. So
mm,
in these type of games, we can give you the credit when you do what you do against Wolves. I'm also not just because you won this match, just completely ignore it because you
mhm.
just about go over the line. And I think they deserve the criticism in this one, regardless of the win. Because yeah, the same energy I'll give to United when you guys were stinking it out and still winning. So I just wanted to kind of add that in. Add that
Bro,
in.
what's your problem today, man? Just relax, bro. Just chill out, bro. You won.
Nah, I'm sorry, bro, man. I'm
You beat
sorry.
us. Like,
Nah,
bro,
man.
like, keep
Bro,
my
it's
team out of
business.
your mouth, bro.
It's
Like, what's
business.
going on here,
It's
bro?
business, bro. I'm
Like,
sorry, man.
I've critiqued them. Like, do you get
Yeah,
me?
and
Like, leave
I'm
them,
here to
bro.
continue, bro. I'm
Leave
here to
them, bro.
continue.
Oh my
Nah, man.
gosh.
Nah,
It's like
man.
you want me to go on another run. Like, it's like you're trying to bait me. Like, you carry on saying things here and there, like just leaving little things. Like, I'm thinking, what's your angle here, bro? Like,
Hey, man.
hey, bro,
I'm
let's
just
talk
joking,
about
man.
Durant, bro. Please.
Yeah,
Please.
that goal, that
Please.
goal, that goal. Yeah,
Hey,
man. You talking it, man. What do you want to say about
bro,
Duran?
bro. Firstly, great game. Like Villa, man. Like it's a nice time to be a Villa fan, man. Like
Mm,
honestly, like yeah, they must be over the moon with like
mm,
everything that has happened since Gerrard, because I know
mm,
that was a dark time for them. And yeah, Emery has come and that club has been transformed. Like, do you get
mm,
me? The football they're playing, qualifying for the Champions League, like Villa Park, like, no team's trying to go Villa Park. Like,
mm,
it's going to be a battle. And that's why I was saying Arsenal going there and winning this early in the season. That is one of them ones where I think Arsenal, just very quickly, Arsenal
mm,
having to go to Spurs away and Villa away, like, do you get me? And obviously, you've got Etihad as well.
mm,
If
mm,
you're able to have those away fixtures and get in and get out with what you need this early in the
mm,
season, that's going to be nice for you guys later on. But
mm.
yeah, back to Villa. Yeah, like I think great game. Like, do you get me? But speaking about Duran, I think we spoke about how when we were analyzing the transfer window and we were
Mm,
speaking about Villa, I think we both mentioned that, you know what? Because I think I said it and then you were like, I know what you're going to say. And I
mm,
was like, one of Villa's best bits of business this season is
mm.
keeping Duran, because this guy's got so much potential. Again, he's ball striking and also he's just fearless. Like, do you get
Yeah,
me? Like, he's just fearless. Like, why are
he's
you
got the
shooting
I'm
from
him.
there?
Yeah, he's got the
Yeah,
I'm
like, why
him
are you
gene.
shooting from there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
like,
I'm him gene.
certain
Yeah,
people, they just got it.
yeah,
Like, he just
yeah,
said, what? Hey, man,
yeah.
like, do you
I'm gonna
get
lick
me?
this.
What? Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that
Nasty
goal was
strike.
nasty. Yeah,
Nasty. Do you see Martinez as well, fam? He had his hands on his head, like, he
I
couldn't
didn't even see
believe it.
that. I didn't
Yeah,
even
bro,
see
he
that.
couldn't believe it. But yeah, like, what a goal. And again, this is why I said Villa fans should be excited, because Duran was knocking on the door, knocking on the door, knocking on the door. Watkins knows that his spot isn't guaranteed. You saw
Mm,
Watkins score 2 goals, and then Duran's coming to the pitch and he gets the winner. So Watkins
yeah,
now knows he knows he's in a fight. Like, do you get me?
yeah.
Like, he has to be putting in performances. He saw what Duran was doing, and he was just like, bro, I need to score quickly. Like, quickly.
Mm.
Otherwise, this might get long for me, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
shoot.
do you
Once I
get
get the
me?
job, I might
Yeah,
not come back.
quickly,
I
yeah,
might not come
quickly,
back.
bro. Like, do you
Yeah.
get me? And that type of competition, that's what you want. So when I look at Villa and I look at their midfield and the options they've got there, obviously you've now got Watkins, you've got Duran. Like, I think things are looking nice for them, man. As regards to the game though, it was really interesting because they started
Oh,
well,
yeah.
and then like Everton, just obviously McNeil, he got the goal, and it was just like,
Mm,
whoa, do you get me? And then before you know it, it was 2-0. And then you're
mm.
looking at it and you're like, oof, yeah, like, do you get me? Didn't see that one coming. But I said if Villa get one before half time, yeah, they're gonna win this match. because Everton and bro, we've spoken about Dyche, but hey, man, like Everton as a club, you know, like great club, great history. Like I'm not even trying to diss Everton. Like, do you get me? Great club, great history. Like in English football, they've done loads of brilliant things, but in recent history, the way they've been beating the drop and beating the drop and beating the drop,
Bro, that
bro,
Matrix.
like I'm thinking, how many times do they want? Are they doing this? Is it a thrill? Is it a buzz thing? Like, what are they going for here? Because yeah, man, like when you were 2-0 up to against Bournemouth, and in the 87th minute, in the 87th minute, you're 2-0 up and you still lose 3-2, and then again you're winning 2-0 and then you lose 3-2, like bro, yeah, like you're in serious trouble.
Yeah,
Like
it's not looking
serious
good for them,
trouble.
man. But it looks
And
like
yeah,
even if
man,
they go ahead, you can't trust them. And
yeah,
I feel like
man,
the worst thing with that narrative is once teams start believing that about you, then
yeah,
they will it into reality.
yeah,
Where everything go
They're
2
like,
up and they're like, you know what, I've seen
yeah,
them lose from this position.
yeah, fam, you
They've done
smell
it a
the
few
fear.
times.
You
Yeah,
smell the fear, like you
yeah,
smell it. Like, do you get me?
yeah.
Like you smell it. Like that's why it's not a coincidence when it's like you see certain teams, like even like the great teams, when they go behind, you're like, oh, here we go. Like, do you get me? Like, here we go. Because it's just like, you know that if they get one, then it's like boom, like the other team are like, oh,
Yeah,
like, do you get me? Oh, this is a bit long now.
yeah.
And I think, yeah, with Everton, I think there was that inevitability. Oh my gosh, man, hey, it's late. But yeah, I think it's one of them ones. But yeah, like that's a really, really big win for Villa. What, it's 9 points out of 12 now. Like the only game they lost was against you. So yeah, I think that's a solid start. Like real solid start. And yeah, if I was a Villa fan, I'd be very optimistic. Champions League football back at Villa Park. There's a lot of things to be happy about, man. Like, so yeah. I think the thing that's gonna be interesting with Duran is like what's going to happen if he isn't starting enough games, because you know when the transfer window comes back around, then he's going to be in high demand. And yeah, like it's going to be interesting to see how Emery approaches this. And he's quite good with rotation and squad management. Like Emery's someone that actually he likes to change things and he likes to rotate, and obviously he's someone that's used to being in Europe. So yeah, like he's gonna have to work that out, because yeah, you don't want to play like that leaving your football club. And even if it might happen later, I think for the immediate future, like you want him there, because yeah, this is someone that looks like he's really, really talented. And again, man, like we spoke about Chelsea and them looking at all these different players and, you know, them continually stockpiling in that creative midfield kind of area. And you're thinking, oh, why? Like, even if you didn't go and buy the world-class bona fide striker, why didn't you just say, you know what, let's just take our pick between 2 or 3 strikers here. And let's just see if one of them hits it off. Like, do you get me? And yeah, they didn't. So yeah, but yeah, what a goal, man! Like that was like we were talking about nostalgia. That was like prime Barclays.
Right. Yeah, I saw people.
Prime
you know
Barclays.
the goal I saw recently that put pain to my heart, bro. It was the Essien goal.
Oh, with the outside of the boot. Yeah, nasty.
I saw the highlights that recently. I thought, man, this is painful.
Nasty.
This is painful. So yeah, shout out to him, man. He's definitely knocking, and he's gonna have to keep Watkins very, very honest. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on how Emery balances that too. But moving on to, I guess we got a couple more games to quickly cover off, bro.
Yep.
Which were the 2 that we kind of spoke about in detail. I think let us first go to, maybe there might be a bit more to speak about in this game, but let's talk about the Fulham West Ham match a bit, because I felt like this was definitely going into. We spoke about how this is the type of game where West Ham, if you're serious about that kind of European sport competition, going away to Fulham is the type of game that we're going to start seeing, maybe a bit more what you guys are about this season. So watching the match, I would definitely say my kind of quick thoughts is I think Fulham played themselves in this one, man. Like I felt like it was one of them games where at 1-0, it was on Fulham to kill it off, and they never killed it off. And then they left the door open just a bit for West Ham. And West Ham, fair play to them. They took the opportunity when they came through, and took away left it late, and they at least left them a point, which you have to give them some credit for staying in there. And then picking something out from this game. I wanted to kind of shout out my boy ESR a little bit as well. You know, see him be pivotal in the Fulham goal. And I was watching that and I was like, I feel like Will Smith, bro, he's also another player that I think has also been slightly misprofiled too. Because I actually see this guy, the more I watch him, I feel this guy is the SS. He's that second striker. I feel like him playing off like a striker, I think is where he's at his best. And I feel that's partially why at Arsenal it was never really going to work out because we don't play in that type of system. So just watching him, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of goes throughout this season. But that's kind of like my kind of initial thought on him. I saw Reece Nelson come on too. I think he had a very, very good cameo. I don't know if you kind of had any thoughts on that. Came on, was very impressive. But yeah, West Ham, they dug in and left with a point, man. Very disappointing, man. My Robinson clean sheet was seconds away from being locked in. I was so pissed. So, but yeah, I don't know what you want to say about this game because we did say it was maybe a tight match that could go either way.
Yeah. I think it was funny because I think you just went for Fulham and I just went for West Ham, and then ended up being 1-1. But yeah, I think we looked at both teams and we thought, yeah, you know what, both teams have got good players. Both teams have got attacking players that can make a difference. And yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think Fulham, when they went 1-0 up, like they should have been trying to kill the game, and they weren't capable of doing so. And yeah, West Ham, like, do you get me? They have enough quality where, you know, it just takes one moment, it takes a chance, and yeah, like they can all of a sudden flip the result on its head. And yeah, I think 1-1. I think that would have been a fair prediction. Like, do you get me? Like, yeah, I think it was one of those games where it was really hard to call. So it's actually maybe, in hindsight, it's actually maybe a bit surprising that none of us actually went for a draw. Do you get me? I think, yeah, both of us said, you know what, we think the other one's going to edge it. But yeah, like, again, like, I think both teams, like, I think they would have fancied themselves for this game. And yeah, like with West Ham, I think, yeah, it still hasn't clicked yet. Like, I think they've still got like a lot of work to do. Again, we've spoken about their players, a lot of great players. It's very early in the season, but yeah, like I think they would have been going into the season very confidently. And yeah, like they'll be hopeful that things will click more. And with Fulham, yeah, ESR, like again, like I'm always happy when you see players who have come from academies and they had a lot of high potential, and you know, like they're able to get their career back on track. And I think, yeah, like, you know, when he was coming through, like I know how a lot of Arsenal fans felt about him and Saka. You know, there was even the song, like, do you get me? And you know, because you know, we're talking about Chelsea and their one song, and you know, other clubs, you know, we have songs plural. Do you get me? So it's just like, fam, Chelsea fans are gonna think that.
No, but I did hear them singing about Sancho though, which is a bit funny.
Oh, the Sancho.
I'm going to ask you about that. Whether what your quick thoughts on the Bruno Sancho post were?
Oh, Bruno, thinking that I don't have no beef with Sancho, man. Like, do you get me? Like, I know, like, some United fans do. Like, do you get me? Like, at this point, I'm just like, bro, like, him and Ten Hag, one way or another, whatever happened got squashed, and he, like the club wanted to sell him. Like, I think there wasn't a future for him there, like, based on like everything that we read, and he's moved to a club which are willing to give him an opportunity, and he's trying to do his best with his career. And so, yeah, like.
But I'm saying, but more from like the Bruno point of view, whether Bruno like bigging him up for being happy, and whether you had any thoughts on that.
What, like him congratulating him?
Yeah, I saw, bro. You're saying you're doing that face, but I saw there were some fans that weren't happy with Bruno.
What they said?
They're just like, oh, like, boy, he plays for the Ops. Like, why are you congratulating him? He plays for Chelsea now.
But players do that all the time, bro.
No, I hear it.
I saw Arsenal players were doing that for ESR when he left.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you get me for full. Like, what?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I wanted to see whether you saw the logic of where they were coming from. But yeah, I
don't understand, man. It's like, as long as he's not out here saying Chelsea, 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 like, you get me? As long as he's not out, but if he's congratulating, and again, I don't know what their personal relationship is like. Like, I don't know what Bruno knows regarding, like, you don't like what Sancho may have been going through. But yeah, generally speaking, like, we see it all the time when a player who has moved from their club to another club, And do you get me? What do you think these players like? They don't have their own personal relationships and they don't talk. Like, do you get me, fam? Like, you've even seen like I've seen like for example like a Luke Shaw and Saka, like I think they've got like a really good friendship, and obviously they play for rival clubs. Like, do you get me? And fam, when Saka was facing us, I see him doing the Rashford celebration and all sorts. So it's like clearly like that's not getting in the way of like how he wants to perform for Arsenal. And like, do you get me? But it's not to say that like outside of that, like some of these guys don't have personal relationships. And yeah, if you see someone, and again, like especially because it's like it's Chelsea, like it's not Liverpool. Like, do you get me? Like, yeah, like I think if it's Liverpool, do you get me? Like Sancho moves to Liverpool and then Bruno's now commenting saying, do you get me? Then I can see like a lot more fans say, yo, like I get that you have a personal relationship, but do you get me? But yeah, with Chelsea, like yeah, man, like, I think we see it all the time, man. Me personally, like,
no, I hear it. I hear it, bro. Just went to to get your thoughts on that. But talking about personal relationships, obviously we spoke going into the City Brentford match that Haaland had lost. I think it was a close family friend, and there was a lot of doubts whether he would play. And yeah, I guess kind of getting into this game, you know, so that City went behind 1-0. But probably the biggest kind of talking point now actually the fact that Haaland did play in this game, and he another 2 goals for him. So, you know, I definitely have to big him up after, I guess, going through a tough time, and still, when City needed him, coming and just delivering. You even look like, but you even could have got another hat trick again.
Bro,
like, so this guy is just a machine, man. Yeah, he's just a machine. So I don't know what your kind of thoughts on that City Brentford match were.
Bro,
wrap it up.
Again, it's actually crazy because. And I don't understand even how we've got here, but I actually genuinely feel like this, that for all the goals Haaland scores, I still feel like he gets disrespected. Like, I still don't think he gets the respect that he deserves, bro. I think people understand what we're witnessing. Like, do you get me? Do you know what this guy's doing, fam? Like, this Premier League that we big up to the whole world, he's come here and he's tore it apart. Like, he's taking it for a joke, bro. He weren't even doing this in the Bundesliga, bro. He's come to the Prem and he has mashed it up, bro. Like, these numbers are ridiculous. Like, they're ridiculous. And the thing is as well, what was crazy is that a lot of us were just surprised that he didn't get the hat trick. Like, we expected it. Like, when we saw 2, we were like, yeah, it's coming. Like, do you get me? And again, he was just unlucky. He hit the post. Like, and you know what it is as well, man? He's so sharp this season. Like, even, like, he's striking the ball with hunger. Like, do you get me? Like, it's just so on site. Like, it's scary, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's scary. Like, this guy's
I'm very worried.
Dangerous. He's looking dangerous. Like, real dangerous. Like, yeah. So what are we saying? What, 4 games gone, 9 goals in the Prem? Yeah, safe.
Yeah,
safe.
it's long, man. It's long, man. It's long. I think I remember going into it too, obviously, because there were doubts about him playing. I know there were some people that took him at the FPL, thinking, I don't know if he's gonna play. And he's just punishing the FPL people that went without him this season, because that guy is just an absolute monster. Yeah, I thought it might be interesting. I see Brentford got a really early goal, 1-0 up, but yeah.
Oh yeah, with the no. To be fair as well, just very quickly, Brentford had their chances. Like when they went 1-0 up, like Brentford had their chances. Like, and again, City, they have this thing where they just get really complacent. Like, do you get me? And it's funny because Brentford, like, what was it? I think 22 seconds or whatever it was. But they scored super early, get the goal, and also, like, it was a howler. Like, howler. Yeah, oh yeah. When you watch it, bro, like, watch it, bro. Oh, absolute howler, bro. Wissa couldn't believe it. He said, "Really?" He said, "You're just gonna give this to me?" He said,
"I think City are bored."
Yeah,
like, little missions and matches. Yeah,
bro, they just troll. And it's funny because when we were talking about Brentford, when we were doing the transfer tier list, we spoke about Wissam, we spoke about Mbeumo, and bro, like, I think they're gonna be shining lights for Brentford this season.
He went up injured at half time, though. I don't know how.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I'm not sure what the extent is, but like, Brentford did have their chances, and it was like, City actually had to like click back into gear, because on another day, Brentford could have scored another. Like, do you get me? And we could have got real interesting. But City, Haaland, crazy.
Nasty. And I guess I think that's a good time to, I guess, kind of remind people or kind of show people what the prediction table is looking like now following this game. Because, yeah, I actually did go for a 3-2 win for City in that game because I did think Brentford would get a couple. So it's interesting that seems like similar to what happened. So if I just bring this up quickly, put us over here, and just to bring it up, bro, let me know if my math is wrong anywhere because obviously we went into this. I was 7-3 up. And I guess just quickly kind of going through the fixtures, and bro, you can also just remind people what your prediction were too. Obviously, we start off with the Arsenal Spurs match. You know, thanks to you, I was very close to going 2-2, but you know, I went 2-1 in the end. Love, thank you, bro. Love, bro. I went for 2-1 in the end.
The next preview, you are talking first, and you're giving your prediction after you spoke, bro. You're giving your prediction after you spoke, bro.
Nah, but we're
I
team,
can't be
man.
helping the ups like this. No, we're not, bro. It's one up front, 4-5-1 formation, bro. Fam, those days are gone, bro. What's all this nostalgia, bro? Lone man, lone man, bro. Systems, but man.
Thanks for that. So I got the right result in that game. I think you went for 2-0 in this game. Which was quite interesting because you did think that we weren't going to concede, so you were very close as well to getting the right result. So ended obviously for the people 1-0 to Arsenal. Then the next match that we predicted, we went for Southampton, Man United. This one I went for a 2-1 United win. You went for a 2-0, I believe, United win, and obviously ended 3-0. So thanks to you guys for getting that third goal. So now we both got just the.
I can never be mad at United scoring another goal.
I wasn't mad at it either. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, man. So so we both got the result in that game right as well. So that takes it to 2-2. Then the Chelsea Bournemouth match, I went for a narrow Chelsea 2-1 win. I think. Did you also go for a 2-1 win in this one too, or we went for 3-1 actually?
Bro,
I think you did. In this,
did you go for a 2-1 in this game?
I thought
you went for a 3-2.
That was the City game. I went for 3-2. I think City Brentford I went 3-2. Yeah.
You didn't go for it as mad. Okay.
Yeah, I went for 2-1 in this game. And I think you went for 3-1 in this one, I believe. Remind me if my memory serves me right.
I think I went for a 2-1, you know.
2-1. Either way, the score was 1-0. So we both got the result right
you got the result,
in this one. You can check that one in the background while I go through it. So that's 3-3. So we actually got quite a lot of the results right. The one that spun both of us is that we both thought Liverpool were going to beat Forest, which obviously that didn't work out. So we got that result wrong. And then in the City game, I went for 2-1 to City, which was very close, unfortunate. But then it actually ended. I went for 3-2. I went for 3-2.
Yeah, I went for 2-1.
You went for 2-1.
I went for 2-1.
Yeah, thankfully that didn't happen.
I went for 3-1.
Yeah,
I went for 3-1. It finished 2-1. Yeah, I went for 3-1.
Yeah, you went 3-1. So so that takes it. So we both got 4 out of the 6 results correct. But obviously we didn't get any of the right score lines, which is why I'm now in 11 and you're in 7. So it's still tight. It just takes just like FPL, it takes the 1 week you make the right decisions and you can really fly up that prediction table. But right now I'm leading in that. So I thought just to remind the people. And then that was the fixtures for this week. I don't know if it's probably worth me just kind of flying through the other kind of games just for people that maybe just weren't aware, obviously. So Brighton drew. Stop me with anything you want to add to any of these games. Just from what you saw. So Brighton drew Ipswich 0-0. Palace drew with Leicester 2-2. Obviously, Fulham West Ham 1-1. Liverpool lost to Forest 1-0. City beat Brentford 2-1. Villa beat Everton 3-2. Chelsea won 1-0. Then obviously that was the yesterday's game. Then today's one, obviously Arsenal beat Spurs 1-0. And then Newcastle. This game. Sorry, bro. My computer is now just bugging.
Okay, bro.
Yeah, so just give me a second to get this up. Wow. Looks like letting me down. Then obviously today, I was actually watching this match. I fell asleep. I was so tired. Newcastle obviously beat Wolves 2-1. Don't know if you caught that one at all.
Yeah, I did, bro. That first Wolves goal, the dummy. Did you see
it? It's nasty. Yeah, nasty. That guy, John Gomez is a serious player, man. The Liverpool teams aren't coming in for him.
Smooth.
Serious player, man. Yeah, you put it on the plate. You put it on the plate for him. So that was good. And man. And Gordon and Isak, I need these guys to wake up. They need to wake up. Wake up,
bro. Even just,
wake
I
up
think,
quickly.
like, I think we might have spoken before. I've spoken about it before, but I think Newcastle this season, like, yeah, like results wise,
Yeah,
like, yeah, like good, but
yeah.
like performance wise, like, yeah, like they've had so many like phases in matches where it's like, yeah, they've just not been at it. Like, yeah, they've not been at it. Like, so, yeah.
No. So yeah, that was the kind of results for this. And obviously, so before we end the episode for the people watching, we wanted to just quickly kind of just update people on what we've gone for our, Premier League predictions. I just wanted to quickly go through that with you, bro, just so we have this in place. And just a reminder to the people, obviously we have the FPL competition, which we update everyone on what's going on with that every Thursday, following the points kind of update. We have that. We have the match kind of score prediction that we have, where each week we predict a set number of games, predict what the score line, the results are going to be. And at the end of the season, the person who wins both of those, they go on and then they get to, get the kit of their choice. And we're still on the lookout for any other ideas of forfeits that the loser should have to do. So definitely hit us up for that. And then the Premier League prediction, this is just like if for some reason it ends 1-1 and we just need the final decider just to help us decide who's going to win this. We'll use the prediction, see who was more correct at the start of the season. We predict this before the results of this weekend's fixtures. We kind of want to do it post the transfer window finishing, but this is the only time we really had to kind of go through it. So we won't spend too much time. We'll just kind of put it on there, and if there's any like big talking points, we can kind of get to it as we go. So if I just share my screen quickly, bro, then we can talk about it. We'll get into it. Share. Let me know once you can see that. Can you see that?
Family. Yeah,
okay.
I can see that, bro.
So let's go through it. I guess start of the league. I'm still, in terms of who's going to be champions, I'm still going for Arsenal. Decided this even before today's fixtures, even though I knew that if we had lost today, it could have got spooky for us. But I was still saying that we're still not the favorites, but I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm a hope that we have the difference makers to kind of make it and actually get over the line this season. Did you change your mind, bro, from our initial? Are you still going Arsenal or are you going City now? Where's your head at?
Going City, bro.
Going City.
Yeah,
you're leaving me
City,
behind.
Man. I'm
I thought
going
we were in
City,
this
bro.
together, man.
I'm going City, bro.
Oh,
You know what it is?
mate.
I definitely feel like, obviously, like, I think everything I said regarding Arsenal still stands. Like, do you get me? It's not really got much to do with Arsenal. It's got more so to do with City. And it's like, yeah, like, I think, again, it's very early in the season and there's a lot of football to be played. And again, that fixture at the Etihad is going to be like a big one. But I think even Arsenal getting the result over Spurs, which I thought they were going to get anyway. So it's like, yeah, like I said, like I thought Arsenal will beat Spurs. So it's not a thing where I thought, oh, you know what, you guys were going to lose to Spurs and then like that's going to be like a real thing that influences like your title charge. But yeah, I just look at City and I just look at like the relentlessness of someone like a Haaland. And yeah, man, like being able to have someone like that is just guaranteed goals, like week in, week out. Like, yeah, man, it's such a cheat code. I think Wendy commented that, like, yeah, Haaland is actually a cheat code. And I think, yeah, like they look like they've just got like an extra edge at the moment. Like, yeah, and I don't know how Pep's keeping them hungry like this, but yeah, man, Gundogan's come back. Like, yeah, they look sharp, man. But Arsenal, I still think that Arsenal will take it all the way. Like, do you get me? I think, again, everything that I've said regarding Arteta, it still stands. Everything I've said regarding the team, it still stands. I think, yeah, like, you're just coming up against, like, yeah,
a
a
juggernaut.
relentless team. Yeah.
That's why
So,
I
yeah.
can't argue
Yeah.
against that. Can't
And
argue
I
against that.
was thinking as well, I was just like, I also thought, you know what? Like, I hope Ace, like he goes with his heart because we need some differentials here. So I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
No,
So
no,
I
no.
was like,
Trust me,
yeah.
bro. I wavered. I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
wavered.
Yeah.
I wavered.
I
I
was
thought,
like, you know what? Like, yeah, I could get some differentials here. So I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'll go with City.
yeah, no, I think that's fair. Okay, bro. If you tell me who your, I guess, top four, the rest of your top four, and I'll add mine, and we can talk about it a little bit. Second to
Cool.
fourth.
So obviously Arsenal second.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Arsenal
Mhm.
second. Yep.
Yeah, I don't really need to expand on that. Liverpool third
Okay, Liverpool third.
and Villa fourth, man.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
change.
man.
So Villa fourth. Okay. So the rest of my top four I went for obviously I've gone for City in second. Don't need
Mhm.
to explain why. Liverpool in third. And then yep, I also went for Villa. I think I had this before, so in my initial kind of
Yeah. Mhm.
predictions. So yeah, I guess the interesting talking point here is obviously I know we initially had this conversation at the start of the season. You had gone for United in fourth. So I don't know if you want
Yeah.
to kind of touch on why you changed your mind here. What's happened over, I guess, the first 3 game weeks that kind of made you think that Villa are now the team that are more likely to finish above you?
I think obviously, and I'm gonna try not to get triggered here, so I want to keep things nice. And I feel this whole episode you've just been trying to bait me, bro. But
Bro, you're baiting us. It's not my fault.
bro, just trying
You
to
blame your
bait me,
manager.
bro. It's just
You
like I
can
just
blame
want to
your
keep
manager.
things. I want to keep things moving. It's like you want me to go on another round.
Ah, man.
But yeah, I think like with Villa, obviously, because I think I initially had Villa fifth, and yeah, like I really like Villa. Like we've spoken about Emery, and yeah, I really rate Emery as a manager. Obviously, they are playing Champions League football this season, which like is a big thing. Like that was gonna be something. Whilst obviously Emery, like when it comes to managing European competition, that's something that he's experienced in. Like this is new to Villa, and obviously, like Emery's a Europa specialist, and yeah, he has got to a Champions League semi-final before, and I do think that he will make the necessary changes when it comes to like rotating the squad and stuff. So it's not like I'm worried, but it's just a big ask for like any club that hasn't been in the Champions League for that long, and they're making the adjustment. And so initially, kind of those were like my thoughts, and then with United, obviously, like I would have liked to have thought that whilst Ten Hag isn't necessarily the right man for the job, like with the changes that we've made, like he would have been less stubborn. Like, do you get me? With like how he's trying to approach certain matches, like, do you get me? And I think again, like when I'm just looking at it, I'm thinking, yeah, like it's still very naive. Like he's not like, because in the summer it looked like he was going. Do you get me? And then obviously it turned out that he was staying. And I thought that like with him staying, like obviously all the changes with Ineos and the support he now has, like he would have kind of also realized. And I know what he says like in the press conferences, like I think it was in the interview when he was just like, oh, like I win trophies everywhere I go. So if they don't
Yeah.
want me, I'll go somewhere else.
I'll win
But
trophies.
I
Yeah.
thought like, okay,
Jeez.
underneath all of that, like he would also know that, you know what, I was this close, like this close. And I thought like, yeah, like maybe like he would have made smart decisions. And I think, yeah, like again, it's not a new thing with me as regards to Ten Hag and me not believing he's the right manager. Like, do you get me? Like, yeah, I've wanted him replaced for quite a while. But I think, yeah, like it's just the lack of faith in him and his ability to change. Because I think you can look at someone and you can think, you know what, you're not the right man for the job, but with these things around you, at least we still can improve and we can maybe get here. Like, do you get me? And then maybe after that, you move along and then someone else is able to take us to the next level. Do you get me? And yeah, man, like I think with Ten Hag, with the press conferences, with everything he's saying, like, do you get me? Like, he's just not giving us any confidence that he's going to make the necessary changes and adapt. I really hope I'm wrong. And I think with everything that I've said about Villa and Emery and their signings and how they're approaching the game, I think it would have just been like, yeah, I think it would have been like me just really just being a United supporter, or like me really just rooting for my team for me to not again. I think there was two ways I could have approached it. I could have approached it me being tribal and saying, nah, you know what, United, do you get me? Or we have to, do you get me? Which is what it was. I was thinking, is that the way I should go about it? Do you get me? But then also I was thinking, should I also try and be just more analytical as regards to, you know what, I'm just looking at this and yeah, man, I'm thinking this is more likely what may happen, but I hope I'm wrong, man. I hope United do get top 4. But,
no, I hear it. I'll give my 14 United when I'm sure where I have them in my kind of table. And I don't really with Villa, I guess just to quickly, there's not really much to kind of add. I echo everything that you said. I feel like they have good squad depth. I feel like they'll handle the champs a lot more than what I remember. I remember us having this conversation where I felt like a lot of people are going for the very easy. They have Champions League. Last season, it really affected Newcastle. This season, it's going to really affect Aston Villa. But I said, nah, I hear all of that, but I still think they have a good manager. They have a good team, and they're going to do okay. And I think it's also an issue with the teams underneath them. I think everyone else has more problems where I feel like Villa will still just be the best of the rest, kind of, even with them battling on the side of the Champions League. So, but I think those are my thoughts on having Villa in the top 4. Then I will go for my 5th and 6th. So I have gone in 5th. I have Spurs. I have Spurs in 5th. And in 6th, I have Chelsea. Is my 5th and 6th. And okay, let me get yours on the board and I'll talk about my kind of options.
So I've got United in 5th.
Okay, United in 5th.
And Spurs in 6th.
And Spurs in 6th. Okay, so I guess for me on my end, the reason why I've gone for Spurs in 5th is I think when I did my initial table, I initially had United in 5th and Spurs in 6th because I did feel like I wanted to see what United were going to look like this season. Because kind of like you were saying, in the summer, I saw how good the window was. Ineos are in now. I didn't know how much impact they were going to have and how Ten Hag plays. Whether Ten Hag would make changes. And I felt like with United, as much as I kind of criticize United, I always kind of feel like you guys have, for a long time now, why you've always kind of come clutching at the cups and the stuff is like you have players that if they turn it on, they can be more, they have shown us like a Rashford that if he's on fire, he can do something that maybe the other teams in the league don't have a player that they can do on a consistent basis that he can. So there's a lot of kind of unknown with United where I thought, cool, I think it would be enough to get them 5th, but and I had Spurs in 6th. But now that United have dropped out of my 5th, that's where Spurs automatically now move into my 5th place team, where I feel like with Ange, he gets criticized, his system, maybe he needs to adapt. But the one thing I can give him that I can't give to Ten Hag is that he came in and he just showed us how he wants to play football straight away. Understand? He has his principles. Spurs play a certain type of way. They've gone and strengthened in the window. They've got Solanke, which was a big issue for them last year, not having a number 9 striker. And I do think he will do quite well with them. I think he fits how Andrew wants to play. He fits their system. I think it's just about, in general, they just need to find a solution to the problem of teams just knowing that if they clog the midfield and they force them around the outside, Spurs don't really want to do it. So I think Andrew needs to find a way of maybe inverting Udogie and Paul a bit less to maybe make them more of a threat around the outside. Maybe trying the back three. I think there's tools there for him that if he's willing to use them in the right way, I think I can still see Spurs finishing 5th and being better than the teams beneath them. It's kind of my thinking. Then we get on to Chelsea, where Chelsea, I feel like I've made it very clear. I'm very critical of Chelsea. I won't even try to deny that I'm critical of Chelsea. Just from like an organizational point of view, how the club is run. I just think it's a really big mess. But the one thing they have done is, bro, they have so much talent and quality in that team. Like, they don't have a goal scorer that can actually, on a game-by-game basis, like do what they need to do. That in terms of getting putting the ball in the back of the net. But they have enough creative plays where in most of the matches in the Prem, where they're going to have more quality than the opposition. And then as the game gets later, they're going to have more they can bring off the bench than the opposition. So I think it will be enough for them to get that 6th place just because of those like 2 factors. It's just now on Maresca to just, I guess find his best 11 of them, or find his best like 14, 15 players, regardless of how many people they have in that squad. And if he manages to do that, I think it'll be enough for them to finish 6th. Is that good enough based on how much they've invested, based on everything? No, it isn't. But I think that's why I have Chelsea in 6 for me, like right now, as my kind of locking in position. So I don't know if you have any kind of thoughts in there at your kind of 5th and 6th as well. Talk on that a little bit.
So with me, I think, yeah, United is a really interesting one because I feel like if Ten Hag was to go on a really bad run, he very well may lose his job. And then if that change happens early enough where we are still like, we still got enough of the season left and we're still in reach of top 4, then yeah, that puts a completely different like twist on things. But also, if Ten Hag isn't getting sacked, then I would like to think that it's because we are still in reach of top 4. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So it's a really interesting dynamic where it's just like, if it's looking like we can't get it, then I think the decision will be made. Like, do you get me? Because also Man United, they're not trying to go back-to-back seasons without Champions League. So I think if they're looking at it and thinking, you know what, this is what it's looking like, I think they'll make the decision. If they don't make the decision, I think it's because it's not what it's looking like. Do you get me? So even if like maybe fans are not happy with, you know, tactics or things haven't evolved enough regarding style of play, I think if they are still, if it's horrible, like absolutely horrible football, and like there's overwhelming pressure from the fans, then I think Ten Hag could be in trouble. But if there's progression, but it's still not what we want to see, but we're still in with a shout for top 4, then I think that could be enough to like keep him. So I'm kind of thinking like it's a weird one. It's like
4D chess.
Do you get me? It's kind of like chess because you're thinking, well, if United start going on a really bad run, like Ten Hag doesn't have the luxury of what I believe Ange has or what Maresca has. Like Ange and Maresca can go on really bad runs, and I don't think they'll necessarily get sacked this season. Whereas Ten Hag, I believe he would. So I think if he was to go on a really bad run, the change will happen, and then United, you know, there might be an upturn in form. Rude might come into the managerial position, like, and you know, things might start looking brighter. Or if he doesn't have a bad run and he stays, then it's because we're looking like we can get top 4. Like, do you get me? So it's a weird one. Like, it's almost like, yeah, like there's kind of like 2 paths things can go down. But whereas like Spurs, for example, like they can like continue. Like I think Spurs can, Ange has much more time than Ten Hag. Like, do you get me? Maresca, he's new. He has much more time than Ten Hag. I think if Ten Hag, like, and a lot of us were talking about these run of games, and it's like, oh, you lose to Southampton, you drop points to Palace, you lose to Spurs, and it's looking crazy for you right now. Like, do you get me? Whereas I think Ange can go on a run like that, and there'll be pressure, and there'll be a lot of talk, but I don't think he'll lose his job that quick. Like, do you get me? Maresca, because he's just come in, again, there'll be some time for him to, you know, make his changes and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at with United. Like, do you get me? And I felt that's just like, yeah, with Villa, just because of everything they're doing, like, yeah, I was just like, cool, you know what, I'll put them in 4th. So that's kind of why, yeah, like I've got United in 5th. And then, yeah, like Spurs again, like it's interesting because I think when you're talking about like Spurs, you're talking about Chelsea, you're talking about United, like, yeah, like we've all got like our problems going on. Like, yeah. And I think obviously just naturally the expectations on Man United, like I think the pressure of the club, like again, like I think if Ten Hag is doing really bad, then I think he loses his job and then the change gets made. Do you get me? So it's just, yeah. Whereas I think Ange can kind of have like more of a mid-season and he just stays. Like, do you get it? So yeah, that's kind of like the United Spurs dynamic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
I guess to kind of get into, I guess, a team that I have in 7th, it is Manchester United. So I will, if I can get a hold of put them there. If you tell me what your 7th team is, and then talk about it. Get into it.
Chelsea.
Who do you have in 7th? Oh, you going
Chelsea.
Chelsea. So what's it good? I guess for me, I kind of coming off the back of what you were saying about I guess Ten Hag, him losing his job. I can't factor in any of those kind of stuff. Right now, in terms of what I know, is just all roads lead to the dugout. And right now in the dugout is Ten Hag, man, and that guy, yeah, said it already. Like I think, like you alluded to earlier, I think it's the stubbornness. I think it's the gaslighting. I think it's the coach that I'm watching the game. You guys don't play well. Just come out and say you didn't play well, and then we move on. But when you come out and you sit and then you start just like deflecting and just saying rubbish, then yeah, man, I just think this guy, you're trying to delete, you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. I don't like it. So I think I agree with you. Probably if he doesn't have a great season, I think he will leave. But again, at that point, I don't know how whether a Rude or whoever comes in would. Well, I don't know how much damage will be done before Ineos make that change.
That's the big question. That's the big question.
Yeah, is how much damage would that be done? And it will be interesting to see how Ineos move as well. Because obviously last year when Ten Hag was doing his nonsense, obviously they weren't fully in place, and the Glazers were never gonna really make that decision to sack Ten Hag before Ineos had their people in charge and could make the decision themselves, which is why they waited till the end of the season. So now it's gonna be interesting to see how badly does it get before they say, yeah, man, your time is up? Or are they going to have maybe a bit too much patience? We will see. But yeah, man, I think just the way you guys play, I feel like most of the other teams I see above United. I feel like they play football matches with the intention to like be on the ball and make things happen. Whereas I feel like with United, you play too much reactionary football. When I even feels like even like with the 4-2-4 press, it's like your first intention is to press when you don't have the ball. It feels like more thought goes into that side of the game than your 3-1-6 build up, which is how you build up in a way that actually consistently will get you attacks and consistently help you to make chances.
Bro, you're trying to trigger me again.
I know. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I know.
Bro, I purposely didn't get into the tactical bro. We would have been here all day, bro. And now you're trying to trigger me again, bro. Let's talk about that 44 press, bro, and the 3-1-6 build up, bro. I'll break it down for you, bro.
I know. I'll break it down. I think Thursday we should get into it because it's a conversation I really want to have as well. So I think because of my thoughts on the midfield and just Ten Hag as a whole, I feel like right now I can't see anything higher than a 7th for United now. Like after seeing what you guys have also served up in the first 3 games. Obviously, this was also not factoring in the Southampton match. So I don't know if I had watched that, I would change my mind at all. I didn't actually watch that match. But just in general, what I've seen of United, I feel like, I think I'm going to lock them in 7th and then we'll see what happens. So yeah, bro, those are my thoughts on the United. Know what you want to say about Chelsea, or you have any responses?
Oh yeah, again, I think with Chelsea, a lot of players, and you know what's so interesting. Again, I think it's really tough because I think a lot of all of those positions, like I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them in different combinations. Like if I saw Chelsea finish slightly higher, if I saw Spurs finish slightly lower. Like I think, like there's so many questions regarding all of those teams where I think. That's why it's so easy to look at, for example, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, and then think, you know what, that's the top 3 because like they've got much less questions. Like, do you get me? And then that's why I looked at like a Villa and I thought, you know what, their thing is that they're playing Champions League football, like maybe like the pressure of the situation is new. Like, do you get me? As regards to it being kind of like an expectation that you got top 4, you got it last season. Can you do it again? Like, do you get me? But I've still gone with Villa for 4th. And then I think with United, Spurs, Chelsea, like there's all sorts of problems. I think Chelsea, they've got a lot of players that I like, and I've been very open about, like even like João Felix, who like I know you're highly critical of. Like, do you get me? And again, I think he's got a lot to prove, but just like as a player, he's someone that I actually do think, you know what, like he's got potential there, and it'll be interesting to see what he does. But I'm not going to go through all the signings because I think we've spoken about that a lot. But I think they've got a lot of pieces. Striker, not addressed it. Like, and I think, if Chelsea had like someone who can reliably put the ball in the back of the net, then Chelsea are automatically like higher in my rankings. I think that's definitely like a big thing there. So like, do you get me? It's a difficult one, but it's like you're trying to balance loads of different things, because even with United as well, I know my football club, and it's like, even though we can have like just like periods of just absolute disaster, we also know how to just grind things
Well,
out.
I told you,
Like, do
bro.
you get me?
Like you have them
Yeah, like
fluky players.
we're
Fluky
so like,
players,
but
yeah.
it's not even. I
That
think
Bruno,
even
Bruno
beyond the,
Rashford,
but
will just come and win your match. Yeah.
even beyond the players, I just think
Yeah.
United as a club, like, do you get me?
Mm.
Even when we're bad, like we're really bad, where like all the chips are against us. Like, for example, like the FA Cup final, everyone's saying we don't have a chance, and then we just pull something out of the bag. Like, do you get me? And I think United, yeah, if you do have like a Rashford hit form, if Bruno is able to, somewhat operate within the system where he's being productive and like he's not costing us too much, like in other areas. And if our growth of like the players where we think they've got a lot of potential, for example, Ahmad, if that continues to happen, Garnacho continues to get better. Obviously, there's Kobe there, and then we've got young strikers in Hoyland and Xerxes. Like, then, like, there's things there where it's just like, what, like it can get better. But then again, I think you can look at Chelsea and you can think, yeah, they've got like, because I'm talking about I think Chelsea, if they had like a certified goal scorer, then they'll be great. But even with United, like there's questions regarding like our strikers, even though we've got Xerxes and we've got Hoyland. Like, do you get me? Obviously, Hoyland, they both young. Hoyland, obviously, like he got 10 Prem goals last season. I think he got 16 all comps. But do you get me? Like, he's someone still where it's just like, what, we want to see much more from him. Like, and then Xerxes, obviously, he's just come to the league and we're talking about his profile and what type of a player he is. And yeah, like his goal output's going to need to improve. But yeah, like I think there's also like a bit of like questions regarding like our not just our manager, but I think also like our temperament just generally, because I think
Okay. What do you mean by
sometimes
that?
so I think sometimes often like we've seen United and it's like we started to play well, things are going well, we're playing some decent football. Like, do you get me? And when I say decent, emphasis on decent, like, do you get me? And then we go a goal behind, and then everything goes out the window, and then it capitulates and etc. And I think, yeah, like our ability to manage situations like that, I think is going to be key to our success. Like, do you get me? That's what I was saying. It would have been very interesting to see what would have happened if Southampton had scored that penalty. Like, what happens then? Like, do you get me? How do we respond to that? But they didn't. We get the goal, and then the second half is much more comfortable. And I think, yeah, there's going to be further tests for United along the way. So yeah, I think, yeah, with United, Spurs, and Chelsea, like I think there's a lot of conversations to be had. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like the orders kind of change. So yeah, like I think you look at the top three and you think, yeah, like that's solid. And then I think, yeah, I like Villa a lot, like I said, but I think outside of the top three, like nothing would. And I think we spoke about this before. Like, as much as I like Villa, like it wouldn't be a shock at all if they don't finish top four. Like, do you get me? And I would say, and what I was saying is that I think their fans, like, I don't think their fans are gonna be like looking at the club thinking, oh, like we fell off if they drop a couple players this season. But their style of play continues to be progressive and they have like a good go at the Champions League. Like, I think, yeah, I don't think Villa fans are looking at Villa thinking, oh, you know what, like if we don't finish top four now, it's going to be a failure. Like, do you get me? So it's like, I think it's one of them ones where it's I like Villa a lot, and yeah, I've put them in fourth, but also it's like I think after those three, then it's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays out. Because yeah,
No, I think that's fair, and I yeah, again, we kind of spoken about this a lot more in depth in depth in the previous stream. If anyone wants to kind of hear more about thoughts too, definitely recommend checking that out. I think that was a really good conversation. But I guess looking at because I think today what we're gonna do too is make seventh the cutoff, where now there's probably more teams. I know even going into this, we said that from that kind of fourth to even probably like ninth, there was a lot of teams in there that were in a shout. So I don't know if you thought there's any kind of team that we should touch on that obviously we don't have finishing in that kind of European spot. So obviously the teams that we were discussing previously were like, the likes of Newcastle, which like you said, haven't started the season off well, but they still have Isak, they still have Gordon,
Yeah,
Tonali's there,
Gordon,
they still have Bruno.
Bruno.
They have a good team in it, so we haven't put them in our European spots. Obviously, you have Brighton, who strengthened really well this summer. And so it looked like they could be a real big problem. We were saying that they could be a shout for that top 10. Obviously, there was West Ham as well that we said, yeah, they're going to make a really big push for those European spots with the transfer window that they've had. And I'm trying to think whether there was, I think Palace was another team that we touched on that, again, kind of more of like that top 10 team that we would have probably had on here that we don't. So I don't know if there's, yeah, go on, sir. What are you gonna say?
I was about to say, yeah, like Palace look like a team that, yeah, like it's one of them ones where it's like they look like they can slip down if they're not careful. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they perform this season. But yeah, man, like, I think, yeah, what has happened with the Premier League now is that obviously we saw Villa finishing fourth. The season before we saw it was Newcastle, and I think like we've seen Brighton play in Europe. Like I think things are very different as regards to, like, no one's guaranteed anything. Like, do you get me? Like I think clubs are looking at it and they're thinking, why not? Like, do you get me? Like, why not? So yeah, like I think it's very competitive. Like, do you get me? Like if Brighton, they're able to put like some wins together, then all of a sudden they're building momentum. And yeah, even like a team like Newcastle, they're looking at it and thinking, you know what, we've not played well. That could mean two things. It could mean like you're gonna get what's coming to you, or it could mean like, you know what, whilst we're still trying to figure things out, we haven't suffered points wise. Do you get me? So if we are able to start playing better, then yeah, like that's going to be really helpful for us. So yeah, man, like it's really hard to call. Really hard to call.
Yeah, no, I think for me, definitely the standout team that I think could have a big claim to why we're not involved is a Newcastle, to be honest. But yeah, like we said, even though they haven't started off the season well, I feel like the tools that they have, and I think Eddie Howe's a good manager too. Very easily, the likes of the Chelsea and United, I feel like in terms of, you're probably also there also in terms of name too, but in terms of actual like the system or how you guys play, or in terms of related to the rest of the league, I feel like there's a really big question mark that either team. I also wouldn't be shocked if Newcastle finished above Chelsea or United this season, because I feel like they also have the players there. Like it's like we were talking about, if he went to Arsenal, it could be crazy, and he hasn't started the season well at all. But we're saying that's like $100+ million player right there as well. That if he gets his act together, Gordon, he's really woken up. I think a lot of people were disrespecting him too when he first joined Newcastle, and he now looks like he's one of their key men. I really saw the run he went on today as well, where he hit the post.
I rate Gordon highly.
Like,
I rate Gordon highly.
Really big problem. So, and yeah, when their players are fit, the likes of the Botman too, who are really, really great as a centre back. Tonali's back. So I feel like Newcastle have a really big shout, where I don't have them in here because, again, I'm also playing the numbers game in terms of likelihood of who I think will finish where, just in case I have to rely on this Premier League table. But I won't be shocked if they squeeze into those European spots either, if they can get their kind of performances on the pitch in order as well. It's kind of what I wanted to, the team I'll touch on a bit more in this case. Then the other thing that we said we do, bro, is I guess we'll kind of look at our relegation teams to see if that's changed at all. This time, after the kind of first 3 games of the season, I will put mine on the board, and I have gone Everton. I've gone, where are they? Southampton. And I have gone, where are they? Leicester. And I think I've done it in that order. Who are your relegation teams? Then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Same, bro.
Oh, same exact teams. Okay, yeah. Because I know you initially did go for Everton, which we'll talk about. I initially for Ipswich. Now I'll talk about why I've changed my mind there. And then Leicester, like that. Then we'll look at where the differentials are in our league. But yeah, for me, yeah, I think going into the kind of season at the start, I said I hadn't watched any of Ipswich last season. I'd heard what people have obviously said about McKenna, heard that they play good football, but I was like, you know what? Because I don't know about them, because I know how on how likely it is for the teams that come up to be the same teams that go down. If I'm a betting man, I'm gonna just say that I think they're going back down, just relative to the rest of the league and the competition that the Premier League usually is for these promoted teams. But I feel like after watching the first 3 games, like with Everton, even before this Villa, when they did the same thing, I was just like, these guys, they look so susceptible. They look so weak defensively. Like, I feel like Ipswich, what they have shown me in the first 3 games is like, I feel like they have got some quality when it comes to the Liam Delap, which like I think he looks like a promising young player that they picked up from City. I feel like we spoke about their transfer window. We said that, yeah, I think they had a like decent at worst or a good window relative to Ipswich and what they should be doing. And I feel like they strengthened. I looked at Everton's window and I said, these guys made money, which I said is never a good sign when you make a profit in the window and you're just about staying in the league each season. I feel like those two things shouldn't go hand in hand, and they went hand in hand, which is why, yeah, for me, I feel like they're in serious trouble this season, man, where they need to wake up. They need Brampway back expeditiously to have any hope of, because I saw Michael Keane, they had that guy working overtime to try and keep them in that Villa match. They had him working overtime to keep him in that game. So, yeah, they need to wake up, man. They need the likes of Calvert-Lewin. Something that I didn't touch on earlier that I was going to say, I felt like it was a bit, it was like a juxtaposition between Calvert-Lewin and Duran for me. Because I was like, you were meant to be, Calvert-Lewin, I was looking at him thinking, you were the guy that was also meant to be the guy when you were coming in as well. And the chances that guy was missing in that game too, I said they were criminal. He also could have like helped Everton leave with something. Like, it was just something I wanted to kind of say on that, going back a little bit to that Everton Villa game where again Everton were 2-0 up and they let it go. So yeah, I think they're in serious trouble. And I won't be shocked if this is the year that the dodging finally kind of catches up to them. I think Ipswich have done just enough business where like the gap between the normal Premier League club and the team that comes up is not as big as it usually is. So I think there's a lot more doubt now in terms of who's actually going to be the team that stays up between the two of them. So yeah, those are my kind of thoughts. I don't know if you wanted to, I guess, yeah, give your takes. I guess we've gone for the same teams.
Yeah, as you know, like I'm a fan of Ipswich. Like, yeah, and I'm rooting for McKenna. And yeah, man, I like their team. I like how they're approaching games. I like some of the signings they've made. Obviously, we've spoken about that in the transfer tier list episode. So yeah, like I liked Ipswich. With Everton, like literally, it's Dyche and history that was really like that was the battle with me. Like when it came to putting Everton in the relegation category, like I was thinking, oh, like it's just the history. Like, do you get me? Is the thing is that just like they just find a way. And you know what? I was really this one was a real battle. I was thinking, shit. But then I just said, you know what, man? Like, yeah, like I'm just gonna put them in there because yeah, they've just not been good enough for a while now. And yeah, man, they look so susceptible. Like, yeah, defensively, they're all over the place. Like, it's just, yeah, man, it's not looking great at all. Not looking great at all. So, yeah,
Nah.
I've got Everton.
I hear it, bro. And yeah, no, that was a change for me because yeah, I think with just what I've seen from them and what I saw from Ipswich, I said another big factor too, man, is just defensively. I feel like Ipswich have shown that cool. They can go and keep it tight against some of these teams, and I'm just seeing everything just leaking goals for fun, which again isn't usually what you expect from a Dyche. So they need to get their act together very quickly. Otherwise, I think they're gonna unfortunately be going to the Championship. And that is our Premier League prediction. This is the tables that we're locking in. So I feel like, yeah, probably the big differences for us is what happens between Tottenham, Chelsea, and United. It's what's gonna
and City, Arsenal.
Yeah, and City, Arsenal actually. Yeah,
because the thing is, it's like with the City Arsenal thing, it's basically like automatically 2 points.
It's true. Actually,
so it's like because they're City or Arsenal are most probably gonna finish top 2. Like so, basically. If you get Arsenal right, then City, then you're 2 up. And if you get the other way around, then you're 2 up. Like, do you get me? So it's like, yeah, so it's that, and then it's the Spurs, United, Chelsea, those 3. Yeah, it's those 3. That's what's gonna be the decider there. So yeah.
Thank you for going through that with me, bro. So I'm save those, keep that in the background. If you have any kind of final words,
just very quickly, you know Vardy.
Yeah.
Just your opinion. Do you think he'll retire after the season?
Bro, the way this guy's playing, I don't think so.
like, do you think if Leicester get relegated, like we'll go back down to the Championship and try like get
I
promoted
know.
with them again, and yeah.
Well, I'm not really sure. I'm not really locked into the Vardy.
Mm.
I don't know if you're maybe a bit more locked into the conversation than I am, or what your thoughts are. Because I
No,
haven't
it's
actually
just
thought about
obviously
that.
like
Yeah.
it's just like he's getting old. Like, do you get me? I think
How
Vardy's
old is he now?
37. I think he's 37
37.
now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's 37. Like he's been doing this for a long time. So it's just one of them ones where it's like, yeah, like is he like? Do you think he's
This is his last
like
hurrah.
yeah, like do you get me? Yeah, like it's just yeah, like it's not anything like I'm not basing it off like any deep insight. It's just simply he's been
Okay.
here for a very long time and he's old. Like he's an absolute Prem legend. Do you get me? He's an absolute
Yeah.
legend. But it's like
Yeah.
yeah, like obviously like yeah, he helped Leicester get back up to the Prem, and
Mm.
yeah, like you know it might be a thing where it's just like you know last Prem season, like you want to finish it off like that. But if Leicester were to get relegated, which we both predicted, would he go back down with them and then try to bring them back up? Yeah, it's just a curious thought. So
No,
yeah, and
it's an
um
interesting question.
also just very quickly, just yeah, like Deitch, if he gets relegated as well, I'm not gonna look at him the same, man. Like, do you
Oh,
get
well,
me?
he's lost the mystique.
No, it's lost this. Do you get me? I'm sure that she's lost. Do you get me? That's why it was hard for me to put because I didn't initially have Everton. It was hard for me to put them there, but I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna put them there. So yeah, but yeah, that's yeah. Those are just my quick thoughts.
No, that's fair. And
Yeah,
yes, it's an interesting one. It could definitely go either way, man. Like that's gonna
Mhm.
be another one where we'll see who actually goes down between them and Ipswich. I think it's those four teams. It's between those four. I feel like in my eyes, or who are really for that relegation. Unless maybe another team falls into it. I've been hearing. I don't know if there's any other. I guess just quick last thoughts on this. But there's any other teams in the Prem that maybe they're not as safe as maybe we were initially kind of thinking. That their spaces are a bit more at threat. Because I did hear you say that Palace, if they're not careful, they could drop down a bit. I don't know how low do you think they could drop. I don't know what you think about. I've heard Wolves. There's been some talk on them this season. Like with losing Neto, are they a bit more at risk than maybe we'd initially think? So yeah, I don't know teams that come to mind, bro. For this, I just thought in terms of the relegation battle.
I think Palace have got too much quality to be involved. Like I would be surprised if they felt that low. Like yeah, like I would be really surprised with that. With Wolves, they've definitely been weakened. I do like their manager. Like yeah, I do like their manager. Yeah, like I wouldn't like yeah, I would say they won't go down. Like yeah, like yeah, I'll leave it how it is, man.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for that. Let me stop sharing my screen. And that, bro, it was the agenda for this episode. Just wanted to, debrief on the kind of fixtures. And as always, I also just wanted to kind of add, because I feel like we've mixed things around a lot more over the last couple of weeks. But I guess going into next week, going into next week is where we'll probably get back to more to the normal kind of schedule of the first the episode. So just for the people who watch this live, who watch this later, just to let you know, probably like around like an 8-9 kind of start is what we aim for, and then get back to that. Maybe later, life. We have to, make life work with this as well. But just wanting to kind of update the people in terms of our plans going forward. But bro, do you have any kind of final thoughts to wrap up the episode?
For anyone who's watched this for 30 seconds, for 1 minute, for half an hour, for an hour, for the full stream, again, man, we keep saying it. We're extremely grateful. Obviously, like it's always nice to like be able to share this platform with you guys, and it's always great when like people get involved in the discussions, like whether you're commenting, whether you're just watching, whether you're sharing it on social media, like yeah, everything is appreciated. So yeah, man, like again, like this is something me and Ace said, yeah, you know what, like we wanted to start talking about football, online this season. Like we're both very passionate about football. We both love our clubs and we both like football in general beyond our clubs as well. Like, so yeah, like this has been great. And obviously, there's a lot of things that, like we've had to try and balance like within our own personal lives. And yeah, like, do you get me? We're still like putting things together and trying to make things better. But yeah, like really grateful for all of the support. And so yeah, and I hope everyone has a great week, man.
Yeah, man, that's the most important thing. Hope everyone has a very, very good week. And yeah, hopefully we get back into it on Thursday. We talk about the big games that are coming up this weekend, man. Because yeah, it's gonna be a interesting episode to say the least. And yeah, to echo, Major's word, a big thank you to everyone who locks in and is supporting us. Like it means a lot. Because I know you don't have to give us your time, so thank you very much for that. And until the next one. All right, later, people. Good night.